Hello, folks. I'm Breadbeard with Soft Boy Social Club. I know most of you are not going out tonight. I hope so, at least. So come quarantine yourself and talk with me for a second. I was gonna make a video when I woke. I'm in Taiwan, so it's kind of morning for me. I was gonna make a video when I woke up this morning, and when I looked at the news that on top of the $1.5 trillion bailout, we are also just today decided to when I say we, I mean the U.S. decided to make a deal with a relief package for the American worker in the U.S. Sounds pretty good, right? Like maybe and maybe not, but no matter how you feel about it, and we'll kind of talk about that. I kind of wonder why we couldn't have it all along. And I didn't want to wait to make a video on it, so I thought I would just do a stream and talk with you folks, whoever wants to come in. Make a deal with. Oh, let's turn off that volume. Yes, that's much better. All right. Hey, TOS. I remember you from. I remember your name. I think it was from American Johnson's charity stream, if I'm correct. Let's see. We got a few people in the chat. Good. So, great. We'll just dive into it then. Let me share do a little screen action here. Sorry about the Streamlabs or StreamYard watermark up there. I don't pay for this, so you get what you get. And let's see if that works. There we go. All right. Yeah. So we've got this I'm using vox.com because it's one of the websites, one of the news outlets I can get to that doesn't have a paywall. Let me fix that. So yeah, Democrats have finally struck a deal with the White House on coronavirus package. To read really quickly, Democrats and to be fair, it's been updating as we're going along. This is probably a few hours old. Democrats and Trump administration finally have a deal on a multi-billion coronavirus stimulus package, which includes paid sick leave, paid leave to care for family members, and mandating free testing. After a long day of negotiations between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve McButthole. Well, they're both buttholes. Those negotiations were nearly upended when President Donald Trump declared, "We don't think the Democrats are giving enough." I mean, he's not wrong. At a White House press conference Friday afternoon. But Trump finally tweeted his support on Friday evening. "I fully support H.R. 6201, Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which will be voted on in the House this evening. This bill will follow my direction for free coronavirus," because it's totally your idea, first of all. Like, you all suck. But it wouldn't be Trump if he didn't completely take credit for the whole thing. And paid sick leave for impacted American workers. I've directed, and I don't really care what else he has to say. So yeah, this is a pretty good thing, right? I'm kind of hoping it is. Yeah, the curses and prayers. The phrasing is horrible because they will never just say, "Hey, we screwed up. People need help, and we're finally going to do it." That's just never going to happen. And turn this down. Sorry, I'm having mic challenges today. So yeah, it is. It's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. But like, are you surprised? That being all set to the side, I'm positive. I'm optimistic about this. You know, this could be a good thing for the American workers, and it's bullshit that it took till now. It took a pandemic to even get like the smallest temporary kind of social. I don't want to say austerity, social framework or social. I'm having a brain fart. What do you call it? Safety net, you know, for people that we could have had all along. So my question is to everyone in the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House and executive branch, and really everyone, is so we can have it. Like, we didn't have it all along, but now that their butts are on the line, now that people are finally starting to get fed up with this, and it could be something that could cost them all their comfortable seats. They're finally saying, okay, hey, look, we just found all this money we can give to you. So I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Hypatia safety net. That was the word I was trying to think of. So yeah, I just thought we could talk about that. Just why now? And before it was we couldn't pay for it. And by the way, this is not even a drop compared to the 1.5 trillion we just gave to the banks. Like, so I guess, like, yeah, it's a good thing. I hope, at least. It seems like it's going to be a good thing. I'm optimistic about it. But it's like, well, thank you so much for giving us this atom of a crumb compared to what you just gave the banks, which if you divide up the, I think it's like 327 million citizens of the U.S., which I am one of, and just not given that 1.5 trillion to the banks, you could have just given the people over $4,000 each, which could have helped people live for most of the average working American at least like 2 weeks, if not like a month at the very least. And you know what? They would have spent that. They would have they were not going to, like, they're not the bank. They're not going to be like, well, I got this money, going to pop it in my pocket. No, they're going to need that because they're not working. They could have gone and spent it. Yes, exactly. TOS 1.5 trillion that lasted 20 minutes. 20 minutes. We're still looking at the greatest recession since the Depression, if not a depression, And but anyways, yeah, the people would have spent that. Even if they didn't go outside, they would have bought supplies. They would have used it to pay their mortgages and their rent and their bills. They would have injected it back into the economy. And isn't that the whole fucking point of a stimulus package, is to stimulate the economy? But instead you give it to the people who are going to sit on it and trade it back and forth with themselves to make themselves richer off of this entire deal. But it's okay because we're doing okay because the stock market will go up. Like, I don't know, maybe some of you in the chat have stock. I don't have stock. But stock market goes up, stock market goes down. I don't see anything out of that. The only thing I see is the repercussions of when it goes down, because the banks don't want to take their hit. So yeah, it drives me crazy. There's even trying to find it here. Let me share screen again. Where's that share screen? Oh, that's interesting. I don't want that. It's kind of cool that I can do that. There we go. So yeah, I'll share total screen so you can see it better. And I will even try to zoom in here. I don't want you to see all that. There we go. There we go. By the way, I live in Taiwan. That's why I get Taiwanese ads. So I can read some Chinese, but I do enjoy that I don't have to actually know what the hell I'm being sold on half the time when I'm looking at ads here. Where is there's a slight breakdown. They don't actually know because they're still voting on it. This isn't even actually passed technically yet. Congress has already passed an $8.3 billion aid package. Wow, $8.3 billion compared to $1.5 trillion. That's so much. Last week to help fund research and vaccine development. And by the way, this is they don't get credit for this. They gutted the CDC. This is just putting some of it back where it should have been. Now that they have to. Now that they screwed the pooch. Which is a very weird phrase, by the way. Don't molest any dogs. But yeah, they screwed up. They gutted the CDC. They put fucking Pence in charge of the relief effort. And then they're like, well, that didn't do any good. So now we're kind of screwed. We got to get things back on track. from what's just happened to us, and so now we're supposed to give them credit for giving us 8.3 billion. No, you don't get that. You don't get that credit. Hey, American Johnson will be coming on soon. Isn't that good? So I don't have to just shout at you. We can shout at each other, and you can shout at us. But there is, so that's already been passed, and that's not for the people. That's not going directly to us. It's needed, but it should have already been there. Hey, wait. I see EJ, you're down there, but it says no signal on your cam link there. I'll give you a second to figure that out. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this until you come in, until you get your video figured out. There is, I know I was looking at it before. What's in the house coronavirus? So, well, okay. Hey, there we go. EJ, you good? Nope. All right. I'll wait. So what's in the coronavirus relief package? We'll look at that before we look at some of the money, the droplets that we are getting. What's in the House coronavirus relief package? House Democrats' opening bid was an expansive relief package, which Republicans objected to over two provisions: paid sick leave and paid leave. Of course they would. In addition to seeking permanent paid sick leave, Democrats had initially included a provision establishing a permanent paid leave program in case of public health emergencies, which would have required businesses to offer 14 days off of paid leave to other workers. With also refundable tax credit for small businesses to assist with costs. And of course, so that's the things earlier when Trump was saying that that they weren't giving enough. He didn't mean they weren't giving enough to the people. He wasn't being a man, of the people who's trying to help us out. He's saying he wasn't giving enough, or the Democrats weren't giving enough leeway to the Republicans because the Republicans wanted to gut the most important parts of it, which would have been the paid sick leave and I just lost where it was. 14 days paid sick leave. That's not what it was it? I'm sorry, this is why I don't stream very much. Yeah. So anyways, there are things in there that had nothing to do with what we were talking about, because paid sick leave and paid time off and support from the government is not important. That's not something you need. It's not a way for them to get some of the goodies that they have been trying to get for the last 25 years, because these are goodies, people. These are things that we should beg for and just like sit under Santa Claus as he throws out candy to us. That's what being able to work and not die from a pandemic that was completely that the government completely dropped the ball on. EJ, are you going to come in? All right, let's bring in American Johnson. Hello. I think you're muted, unless I'm doing something wrong. Take you out? Is that what this means? Okay, 1 minute. You work on that. I'm gonna read some more. All right. All right, we're gonna take EJ back out for a second while he figures out some things. Corona is bad here. Matthew Fison, where is here? Are you in the US? Not doing proper testing, shelves are running bare. Yeah, the government is doing pretty much nothing. And I think that goes at like, so in regards to panic buying, don't. First of all, people, if you get what you need to keep provisions for yourself, but you ain't the only one. that's what we're all about, right? Is collective action and doing things collectively as a community. Hello, EJ. Speaking of community,
Hello.
not to be all alone.
You hear me now, right?
I do hear you. You sound gorgeous.
What I was going to say regarding panic buying, since I just jumped in the middle of
Yeah,
you
do it.
talking and interrupted you. What I've been saying
So
is
rudely.
like, if you're going to stock up on stuff, do it for your community if you're able to. I mean, like that's what, when it comes to prepping and stuff, as far as leftist prepping is concerned, I've been saying for a long time, if you're going to prep and like stockpile, do it for your community and in conjunction with your community. Obviously, you can't go out into the streets and talk to them, but you know, we should have been doing this a long time ago, doing things like setting up community food pantries and food stocks and buying water filters. Like you can buy those little Sawyer water filters. If your community had like 10 or 15 of those, you'd be in much better condition right now. Obviously right now it's probably too late to do a lot of that stuff depending on your circumstances or situation. But yeah, people who prep simply for themselves alone, that's like the right-wing prepping mentality. But what we should really be doing is going out, talking to our neighbors. And after this COVID-19 thing, you're not going to sound like you're wearing tinfoil on your head if you go to your neighbors and you say, look, I mean, obviously I'm saying hopefully after the COVID-19 thing is over, but we do need to organize with our neighbors and say, this kind of stuff can happen at any time and we need to be prepared. We need to have plans in place so that if it happens again, I mean, I guess I'm talking about, after COVID-19 now, because it's going to be a lot harder to do this stuff. Right now, you should probably just be isolating yourself. But I guess my point is, should have already been prepared for all this. And we should already have, I'm also frustrated because, like there's a lot of stuff we've been talking about and I feel responsible for it myself. I'm not casting blame on anybody else, but there's a lot of stuff we've been talking about for years now. Going back to before I started my channel, where if we had done, all of us, me and all of us had done a lot of the stuff that we've talked about, if we'd set into action all the plans that we've been having, think about how much better off we would all be right now. We should have our workplaces organized. We should have our communities organized. We should have, the plans in place for situations like this. And I've been saying it, but there's a lot more I could have done. There's a lot more all of us could have been doing. But yeah, I mean, this is proof that we need organized communities, organized workplaces. And
yeah,
it's really, I'm really frustrated if you can't tell, like, because I just know that like, if we had done all the things we always talk about that we need to do, then it would have saved lives. It would have taken a lot of pressure off of a lot of workers. So, I'm a little bit upset with us as a movement that we haven't gotten more foundation laid for united working class, but maybe this will be like, I don't know. I'm trying to look for a silver lining. I'm not saying this is a good thing. Unlike TubeBuddy, did you see this is a little levity? Let me give you a little levity. You want some levity, Brightbeard?
Yes.
It's dark levity.
Alleviate me.
It's dark levity. But and then I'll stop interrupting your train that you were on. I just popped in and decided to wreck all your shit.
This train has multiple stops.
By the way, hello, Brightbeard.
Oh, hi. Yes.
While I struggle to find my screen share.
Oh, do you have it ready? Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Here we go. This is from TubeBuddy. I don't know. This is just, I got this email. I just clipped out the part that was the best. Hey, creators.
Oh, wait.
Given the current.
Sorry, I'm sharing me. I'm bad at this. How do I share your screen? I don't know how to do that.
You know what? Hold on. Forget it. I'll do it. I forgot we can do it through StreamYard. That's a better way to do that. Here. Okay. Technical.
Oh, is that okay? You come in. Okay.
Here we go.
I wasn't doing it wrong.
Hey, creators. Given the current health situation we find ourselves in, people are being forced to spend more time at home. This gives us as creators a unique opportunity to get our content in front of more people. So then there's a little dog that's like, under self-quarantine for coronavirus. Isn't that adorable?
Yeah. And
I couldn't believe it when I got that.
Yeah, there's always going to be sharks. We're all there's always been sharks, and the sharks are not going to pass up this opportunity to feed.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot as well. I just read an article yesterday, I think, about so many university professors are having to switch to online teaching, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I welcome technology, and I think that a lot of online education will be the future. That's not a bad thing, but it's the universities. The universities aren't charging any less, and the universities aren't aiding these professors in any way. It's just, yeah, there's this sickness going around, but you still got to work. You know, they're going to find any way they can to monetize on this. You know, they're gonna do damage control for themselves, and then they're also on top of that going to find any way they can actually profit off of it, and they're not going to give a fuck about you. You know, they're not going to give a fuck about any of you that are working. You will be the first to be cut.
Yeah. It's I mean, like, look, here's what we need to have. So I'm just going to go to Vietnam because Vietnam was one of the first countries after China, if not the first country. I think it might have been the first country after China to have a case of COVID-19. And
maybe, yeah.
I don't know. It was one of the first because they share a border with China. They had workers that came in immediately from China. Anyway, they had a very early case of COVID-19. And after 2 weeks, they had 16 cases, but then they completely contained it like immediately. And they did that through strict quarantining, and they provide free food, healthcare, testing to everybody who might have been exposed to the virus. And they've been doing that ever since. They go out and distribute food to streets that they quarantine. And they pay people. The government pays directly to people who are under quarantine. They pay them directly.
That's awesome.
Now, it's not a lot of money by our standards. It's like $4 a day, but by Vietnamese standards, it's enough to live on, and it's enough to compensate you while you're off work and everything like that. And they have a lot of other. They price gouging is completely forbidden. And if people do it, they had some pharmacies that were price gouging on the masks, and they pulled business licenses permanently immediately. If you were a pharmacist, and because it's already illegal, if you're a pharmacist and you're price gouging on the masks or hand sanitizer or whatever, they will pull your business license permanently, and they've done it to a lot of businesses that were trying to price gouge. Not only that, but because they're distributing the food. When the 17th case came from Europe about a week or two ago, there was some panic buying in Vietnam, and some people were going and cleaning out like little convenience stores and stuff like that. But that only happened for about a day or two, because then the Hanoi government immediately started to distribute food to the streets that were under quarantine.
Yeah, and actually that's when you came on. That's what I was. That's where the train was heading. Was when it's easy to make fun of people panic buying, and some kind of jokes and memes about it are short. But I would say don't hate on people panic buying too much, because they're panicking. They're not, they're getting overworked up, and even on top of that, they shouldn't have to panic. That should have been taken care of. By the government. The government should not have just been sitting on their ass and pretending nothing's happening, and then waited for this bubble to just explode.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is when the government demonstrates that they are going to take care of people, then the panic buying stops. The reason people panic buying in the USA is because they know that no one's going to take care of them, and they know that they're on their own.
Yeah.
And that's why, to some extent, I am disappointed with us as a movement, because we should have already laid these foundations. I've been saying it for 2 years now, but I could have done more. There's more we could have all done to be prepared for all this, and we should have.
Just like how with kind of what I'm talking about here with this relief package, it's too little, it's late, but not necessarily too late. Like, it still helps. And for us, even more importantly, because this is just the government throwing pebbles at us, or throwing whatever. For us, it can use this. If we should have been doing it earlier, absolutely. But it doesn't mean just too late now. Don't worry about it. Like anytime you're presented with anything, the same thing with Bernie Sanders, with everyone kind of being doom about it. Use this in whatever way you can. Personally, I still say use it to push for Sanders. He's far from out. He's still doing better. I was watching the Surfs earlier. He's doing better than Obama was doing against Clinton when he was first running in the primaries. So there's that. But even outside of that, even more important than that, is use this as a wake-up call, because there's going to be a lot of disgruntled and pissed off people, and that's good. And we can use this. We need to be pissed off at the lack of support we've gotten from the government, and we need to be pissed off at ourselves or not pissed off, but aware of where we failed.
We need to wake up. I mean, this is a wake up call, is the way I would put it. It's like we can't water under the bridge.
That's a much easier way to say that than that 10 minutes I was just talking.
No, I mean it's just like this is exactly what we have been predicting for a long time. You know, we who are on the left, and I'm talking to all of you, right? If you're watching this channel right now, you're deep into it enough that you have seen this coming. Like, there's no way you didn't know that something like this was going to happen eventually. Mm-hmm. Also, here's the thing too, and I would love to hear from. Well, I'll hold on. I'll wait. I just sent you I'm going to try to get my Twitch stream up too, just so we can get some Twitch people on here too, because I think this is an important conversation. Did you get the link in the private chat, Breadbeard?
Yeah. Let me see what happens here. I don't know what. I know it's a StreamYard thing.
Yeah.
Just send me a virus.
Yeah, it's just an invitation to another streamer.
So
I think
this is going to be all kind of weird. Let's see what happens here.
It's a co-stream. I've never tried this.
If it kicks off, we'll be right back, folks.
We're crossing the streams. We're crossing.
Oh man, I'm getting weird echo. How do I mute?
I am too. One of us will. Yeah, mute one of the tabs on your site. I think that'll fix it. Does it talk?
Need to mute site. Will that?
Oh no.
No.
Maybe that won't work.
If I do that, it mutes all of StreamYard.
You just sound like Darth Vader to me.
Really? Well, now it sounds normal.
Do you sound okay? Do I sound okay?
Yeah. Now I'm not hearing the echo anymore. Okay.
And you sound like Darth Vader, which is kind of cool. So, all right, I'm going to go live. Does everybody hear me?
I muted it and then unmuted it, but now I only hear one.
No. I know why. It's because you're playing through two of my tabs at the same time. So the people watching won't notice it. I don't think. So I assume everyone can hear both of us fine. And
why am I hearing your tabs at all if you're wearing headphones?
No. There's two tabs of StreamYard open, right? Nobody cares about this, but there's two tabs on my computer of StreamYard open, and they're both playing audio.
Gotcha.
And so you sound like Darth Vader.
Okay. It sounds fine to me. I guess it sounds fine to you folks.
I feel like you've got like kind of a future.
You've got now it came back. You've got like a robot kind of voice. I'm digging it.
Can you handle it? Is that okay? Or
it's fine. It's I kind of like it. Actually,
I know that's what I was just saying.
Request you to always do this.
All right. Well, good thing we did this because we now have 0 viewers on my Twitch, so that's always good.
I'm just enjoying EJ Tron 5000 now.
EJ, yeah, it's Breadbeard Tron, Beard Tron.
No, we already have Kropotnik. Kropotkin. Or what is your puppet's name? Kropotkin.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't just mute just one tab. All right. Anyway, yeah.
Thanks, folks, for letting us just rant or ramble for a minute on nothing important. Before we can go wherever, this is my stream. We can go wherever we want. To go back to just for anyone who doesn't know about what I'm even talking about as far as this relief package. Trump's still fixated on the idea of a payroll tax cut because a tax cut is the only thing he understands. And tax cuts don't go down; they go up. Or they go to the upper people. The upper class. They don't go down. But what do we have here? Free coronavirus testing. By the way, I'm going to show you. If you haven't seen an amazing video of how that got done. This was nothing to do with the establishment. This was I forgot her name. What am I going to look up? I'll look up this great video. Katie Porter. Have you seen this, EJ?
I have not.
This is amazing. I'm assuming I can play this, right? This is like public news.
I don't know. It depends on if they're gonna. If it's the news, it's usually okay. Because they want. But it just depends on the company.
This is another video.
I don't. I neither.
I think it's okay. It's literally just a
if it's like a 20-second clip and there's no music and stuff, it's probably okay.
Well, no, this is just literally a C-SPAN committee hearing.
Yeah, you're fine. Okay, video. C-SPAN's publicly owned, so I think you're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Go for it. Yeah, that's public domain.
So this is just beautiful. Wait, how do I share volume on this? How do I do that? Multiple device. Tell me if you can hear this. Can you hear this at all?
Very quiet.
DJ.
It's quiet. I can hear it, but it's quiet.
I think that's dim. I've got it up to the highest.
Huh.
Folks, can you hear that? Okay, well, we'll skip. She's just going to grill him on the cost of the actual testing. So we're going to jump through a bit of that because she goes through all of it.
Keeping their community safe. We live in a world where 40% of Americans cannot even afford a $400 unexpected expense. We live in a world where 33% of Americans put off medical treatment last year. And we have a $1,331 expense, conservatively, just for testing for the coronavirus. Dr. Redfield, do you want to know who has the coronavirus and who doesn't?
Yes.
Not just rich people, but everybody who might have the virus?
All of America.
Dr. Redfield, are you familiar with 42 CFR 71.3130? Excuse me. 42 CFR 71.
I love he just looks like a child being scolded. Oh no.
42 CFR 71.30.
I think if you could frame what it talks about, that would help me. I don't relate.
Dr. Redfield, I'm
God.
pretty well known as a questioner on the Hill for not tipping my hand. I literally communicated to your office last night and received confirmation that I was going to be asking you about 42 CFR 71.30. This provides the director may authorize payment for the care and treatment of individuals subject to medical exam, quarantine, isolation, and conditional release.
That I know about, and my office did tell me that. I just didn't know the numbers. That's Congressman.
Great, so you're familiar. Dr. Redfield, will you commit to the CDC right now using that existing authority to pay for diagnostic testing free to every American regardless of insurance?
Well, I can say that we're going to do everything to make sure everybody
No,
get the
not
care
good
they
enough.
need.
Plenty of my time. Dr. Redfield, you have the existing authority. Will you commit right now to using the authority?
I love that. These are the people. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I love like the kind of local politicians. If you're going to pay attention to politicians, these are the people you need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Out cost, yes or no?
What I'm going to say is I'm going to review it in detail with
No,
CDC
I'm
and the department.
reclaiming my time. Dr. Redfield,
So good.
respectfully, I wrote you this letter along with my colleagues, Rosa DeLaura and Lauren Underwood, Congressman Underwood and Congressman DeLaura. We wrote you this letter 1 week ago. We quoted that existing authority to you, and we laid out this problem. We asked for a response yesterday. The deadline and the time for delay has passed. Will you commit to invoking your existing authority under 42 CFR 71.30 to provide for coronavirus testing for every American regardless of insurance coverage?
What I was trying to say is that CDC is working with HHS now to see how we operationalize that.
Dr. Redfield, I hope that answer weighs heavily on you, because it is going to weigh very heavily on me and on every American family.
Our intent is to make sure every American gets the care and treatment they need at this time of this major epidemic, and I'm currently working with HHS.
Just anything but to say yes.
Dr. Redfield, you don't need to do any work to operationalize. You need to make a commitment to the American people so they come in to get tested. You can operationalize the payment structure tomorrow.
I think you're an excellent questioner, so my answer is yes.
Excellent. Everybody in America,
Even with the yes, he can't just say yes.
Eligible to go get tested for coronavirus and have that covered regardless of insurance. Please, if you believe you have the illness, follow precautions.
Yeah, there it is. That's an official statement. Like he can't really go back on it now. Let me go back to my microphone. Yeah, so I think that's amazing, and that's why the testing is included in that, by the way. And that I don't know if it's this article, but the article I was reading, which I first saw, that it doesn't say like what exactly is covered by a commitment for everyone to be tested, is include pre-screening or early early checks and things like that. But that's amazing. And I would say, yeah, like she's a liberal, and they're all liberals, but if you're going to pay attention to politics and you're going to really push for people and who's going to actually get stuff done, it's the small people and the ones like this that kind of hold the fire to the feet of the Senate and
it's where you as
committees.
an individual can go and have real impact.
Yeah.
Obviously right now during the COVID outbreak, it's probably not a great idea to be going to public gatherings, but under normal circumstances, I've been in situations in my hometown where, we've taken 20 or 30 people to city council and completely changed the outcome of a vote that affected, thousands of people. I'm not sure were you involved with the bus when we were trying to save the bus system, Redbeard, or were you in China at that point? I can't remember if you.
Well, it was during the mayoral campaign.
Yeah, it was like 2010. You might have been in China at that point.
I left in June 2010, so I don't know.
Yeah, you were gone because
Okay.
it was in the late 2000s. Anyway, you missed a hell of a party because we got like 20 or 30 young people, and collectively we were able to save the bus system, and that helped thousands of users, from losing their only means of transportation. So the point is, you could go and you can actually show up and have real impact there, unlike with the national politics. But yeah, I mean, I'm super confused, Breadbeard, because so what is currently available in the USA? Because I just got off the phone with my mom about half an hour ago, and she was saying that they have free testing and free healthcare and the National Guard is distributing free food to everybody. But my mom only watches Fox News, and I'm seeing on Twitter, I have friends who are saying that they're not able to get testing because they don't have insurance, and it would cost them like $3,000 to get a test, and there aren't tests available. And I've heard nothing in the news about the National Guard distributing food. So what's true and what's not? I just want to know what's really happening. I've looked through all the news, and I don't know. Is my mom getting some kind of fake news, or what's going on?
I haven't heard that.
Right now.
Yeah. I've definitely not heard anything about the National Guard giving out free food. I feel like that would have been a big thing. That does sound like something.
Well, it says in 6 states they've been activated to help fight coronavirus. I'm looking at the news right now. And again, folks, we're trying to, figure out what's really happening around the world and, help. What we really wanted. This is kind of a working stream, I guess, is what we're doing right now. We're just discussing what we've learned, what we know, what we don't know.
Yeah, and that's what happens when this is all happening so fast too.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, this is on the Hill. 400 National Guard personnel have been activated in 6 states to help curtail the spread of the coronavirus, with another 600 expected to join them. This is in 6 states only. What are they actually doing?
Is SC one of them?
It doesn't say what they're actually doing. The Guard's efforts to combat the illness include training personnel on coronavirus response, identifying and preparing Guard facilities for use as isolation housing, and compiling state medical supply inventory. So it sounds like they are planning to do some kind of quarantine operation in these 6 states, but they're not handing out free food. I don't see anything about that. So my mom, I think, got some fake news.
That would be too damn socialist. I mean, I can't imagine that happening.
Right.
I would love it if it happened.
We got some people watching on Twitch now, so I'll just recap. In Vietnam, since the outbreak, the Vietnamese government immediately instituted mandatory quarantines for anybody who may have been exposed to the disease. There are currently tens of thousands of people under quarantine in Vietnam. Everyone who's under quarantine gets free food, free housing, and a stipend directly from the government, money directly from the government to help them when they get out, so that, if they had to take time off work, they get money directly from the government. Currently, the United States government is not providing free testing, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand,
this commitment means the
commitment that they're currently that's what they're discussing right now, though, right? It hasn't actually been passed yet.
Yeah, well, even Trump kind of tweeted and said it would go through, so it should. They're voting on it like now. They said Friday night in the House. The Senate will pick it up Monday because they can't be bothered to come in on a Saturday, to ratify it.
In Vietnam, they immediately did like all hands on deck and got this shit done. It's so disappointing. It's disgusting that a poor developing country like Vietnam can managed to give free food, free housing, free health care, and free testing to every single person who may have been exposed to the virus. And then the wealthiest country in the world that just did a $1.5 trillion relief for the stock market. They're not.
Yeah.
They can't even come in on a Saturday to do the work. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I have family members who have the flu-like symptoms right now, and they're not getting tested. I have my, it's. I have friends who are having to go to work with symptoms because they can't afford to get tested, and they certainly can't afford the treatment. They don't have insurance. I have friends who are uninsured workers, and they cannot afford the treatment, even if they did come up positive with free testing. Even if they did have free testing,
absolutely.
It's disgusting.
Because Vietnam's government's by far not perfect and by far not fully communist, but they have a commitment to the people, at least somewhat. America's government's commitment is to the status quo. Their commitment is to keeping things as they like it. That's what comes first. They don't, even if some of them wanted to come in and get this shit done quickly, that would never happen because they want it's part of the theater, of just keeping things looking like it's normal, because the more normal that they can pretend it is, the less they have to admit that they screwed up or that they need to change.
I would say, yeah. Also, the other thing about Vietnam is that the government didn't just, what's happening in Vietnam, which it's hard to articulate this exactly, but I think it's very important, is that the people in Vietnam have a lot more unity collectively than the people in the USA, because it's not like the state just automatically gave all this stuff. It was definitely like a coordinated effort between the state, the workers, the people, and because, like, for instance, when patient 17 came to Hanoi, it wasn't just
the
like
rich woman.
Yeah, this is the rich woman who came from Europe and lied about her travel history and stuff. The people also went and demanded things, like they went and they said, look, we need free food for people. Look at because the first day that was announced, there was like a small run on grocery stores, and some grocery stores had empty shelves on the first day that it happened. But people on the local level, because in Vietnam, they do have local politics and they do have democracy, and people on the local level were going to their local leaders and saying, you need to put pressure on the city government to do something. And those local leaders went and they put the pressure on, and the city government was amenable to that pressure. And they immediately, the next day, started taking police trucks and handing out food with them to the people who were in the quarantine. They locked down streets and handed out food to them. This was something that happened. And there's a quote by Ho Chi Minh, which I think that still resonates in Vietnam. And we need to adopt this mindset everywhere across the world. And the quote is, unity, unity, great unity, success, success, great success. And that is how I believe the Vietnamese people have mobilized and activated so quickly. And it's not just the state that's doing things. I went to the hardware store a couple days ago, and the lady that ran the store yelled at me for not wearing a mask because I forgot to wear my mask when I went out.
Nice.
And she was serious about it. It was like loving, but it was like she was like, why aren't you wearing a mask? You need to be wearing a mask. Everyone needs to be wearing a mask, because it's like, and she knew, and the thing is, everyone in Vietnam is taking care of each other, looking out for each other, and admonishing each other if we fuck up. And that's the kind of that's what the working class needs across the world, and especially in the USA. We're so fractured and divided right now. There's no unity, and we're all. That's what there's people buying up hand sanitizer and masks and selling them on Amazon for, jacking up the prices. We've got small little pharmacies jacking up the prices on this shit. It's disgusting, and there's no unity with the working class.
Absolutely,
and it's uncalled for.
I read yesterday, this morning, an article about these like two people, as husband and wife or something, were buying up all of Walmart or Target something hand wipes, like the sanitation wipes, and selling them back for like price gouge, like super high prices, and they made like $100,000. That's disgusting, but that's what we should have been doing, but for free. Like, we should have been stashing everything already and having it ready for the people. So in self-crit, from what I was just doing, it is easy. It's a balance. It is easy for us to just say, this is the government and they're fucking us, and they are. And it's not like, you don't want to individualize it and say, like, you need to do better. But also, we need to do better. We need to do better.
Collectively. collectively.
And so
we
that is
can
on
do
us.
better.
It's easy to just blame the government, and that it feels like a scapegoat. And I in self-credit, I was doing that a bit. I wasn't. Hopefully, I didn't come off that. I'm just pushing that.
Like
but,
the people look, even in a liberal democracy. I mean, like even in a liberal democracy, even according to their own standards, right? Not by leftist standards, but by liberal democracy standards, the government does have a fucking responsibility to the people who put them in office. I mean, even if I go back and put on my liberal hat, this is disgusting. It's not just disgusting from a radical left-wing perspective. Even a liberal democracy, even a fucking centrist liberal should see that this is disgusting and that we need more, and we should demand more from a government that just did a $1.5 trillion bailout for the stock market.
Yeah, if you're a liberal Democrat, if you're just if the people in charge are doing whatever they want without zero of your say, then where is the democracy part of your being a liberal democracy? Even if you are. So
it's untenable, and this is exactly what we have all been talking about in terms of like LeftTube and Butterhorse Twitch. We've been talking about this. We've been predicting this happening. We've been seeing it coming. And it's like anything. And I was just talking to Luna about this because we were talking about something kind of different, but we were talking about how like, it normally takes people dying. It takes like the most drastic, predictable scenario for people to actually start taking change. And it sucks, but like this is the wake-up call for the left, for the radical left. If you're on the left, this is our wake-up call. And it's time to stop talking about this shit and do it and make some sacrifices now. Because I'm telling you, like, because I'm talking a bit lately, I'm like talking about on Twitter a lot about how we need to start thinking about a general strike soon. For universal health care, pick our demands collectively, but pick our demands and do a general strike. And of course, and I don't blame anybody for saying this because it's scary and because we're all the cultural hegemony is so individualistic, but everyone's like, oh, well, I can't afford to go on strike right now. It's like there is never a good time to go on strike. And the thing about it is, if we do this as individuals, of course, we're not gonna be able to afford to do it. No one's going to participate. We're going to fail. Collectively right now, we need to be building those organizations and expanding the organizations that already exist. The DSA, the IWW, the Socialist Rifle Association, John Brown Gun Club. There are a lot of organizations that exist. There are thousands of us organized right now. The Antifa, the International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund, has a model for distributing funds that is excellent. We can take that fund and adopt it and use it for strike relief across the world. And it's a really simple model. It's just if you give over a certain threshold, that for the Anti-Fascist Defense Fund is $20. If you give over a certain amount, you get onto the decision-making committee, and then people submit their cases to the decision-making committee, and then the decision-making committee collectively distributes funds. It's a very, very simple, effective model. It's been working to fund anti-fascist people who have hospital bills and legal bills. It's been working for years now. And if that works for them as well as it has been working, it can work for a strike. Chelsea Manning just got released from prison, had to pay $270-something thousand in fines, and the left crowdfunded the majority of that literally overnight. Yeah. We just had a fundraiser for the Trevor Project on non-compete. I have a relatively small channel of like less than 80,000 people right now. And in 6 days, we raised $5,000 for the Trevor Project. And that was just from working class people. Do not underestimate the generosity and the power of a working class that is united. We can have a general strike. We can demand demand healthcare for all collectively.
It's easy.
Of course, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead,
no, absolutely. I was
in a rant mode.
I was gonna.
Silver Spook's in my audience, so I was like, you
gotta
inspired.
You gotta stretch your stuff. That's the whole point of collective action. That's the whole point of collectivism. Because you can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. No one can, and they don't give a shit if you do it alone. That's the whole point. Is if we do it together, then they suffer. If we all do it together, if we organize, for fuck's sakes, join a union. I'll completely
join the IWW.
Yeah, join the IWW. Well, So complete full disclosure, I technically I'm still not in the IWW myself. I should have been for a long time. I thought was it you that did the exact same thing?
Yeah,
someone did the same thing. Because
it's a really complicated two-step process.
Yeah,
and when you finish the first step, it feels like you're a member.
Yeah.
But there's a
so that's
whole
what
other
happened to me.
website you have to go to for the second step. So be careful with that. If you sign up for the IWW, make sure you do both steps on both websites.
Yeah. So so I'm not yet because I did that when I finally realized it. EJ and I and some other people are working on putting together content creators union. So I was just kind of waiting on that. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't even wait. I went ahead and started applying yesterday because there's no reason to wait. There's zero reason to wait, no matter what you're doing.
And they
there's
have
no perfect time for anything.
They will also reduce or even eliminate the fee if you have hardship. So just if you can't afford, it's like, what is it, like $10? If you can't afford the registration fee, it might be more than that. I think it's.
I think there is some form of
$20?
Zero fee, but the lowest paid fee I think is $8.
Yeah. Okay. So even if you can't even afford that, then you can contact a rep and get a hardship allowance or whatever. But it's not a lot of money, and it does support the IWW. So try to pay the fee if you can. But anyway, organize. Join the DSA. Join the IWW. Join the John Brown Gun Club. Join whatever party. Join whatever trade union you can. But get the fuck organized. This is going to get worse and worse, people. And I know that it sucks. Like if we do have a strike, if you have a strike, it's going to suck, and there's going to be hardship, and we're going to have to support each other and take care of each other. And some of us are going to get fired, and some of us are going to get really screwed over by it. And if it comes down to it, and we have to have a revolution, then, lots of people are going to suffer because of that. But the thing about it is, if we do nothing, and if we continue on the path that we're on right now of just trying to rely on the liberal democracy, trying to rely on whatever scraps they throw at us, you see right now, there's no doubt, there should be no doubt in any worker's mind right now that the federal government, the wealthy billionaires, the elites of the USA do not care about you, and they do not care if you die right now. They are already letting people die.
Yeah,
they are letting workers die. This is eugenic negligence. They have the resources to protect us, and they do not care. So it's time for us to rise up and demand healthcare for all with no compromise. We have the power. And as Silver Spook said in the Twitch chat, COVID has basically put the U.S. into an accidental general strike. And you see the effects of that. It brings the economy to a halt, to a grinding halt. It forces the government to distribute $1.5 trillion. Do you think that they would have had this emergency meeting where they're talking about giving paid sick leave to everybody if the economy didn't grind to a halt? That's what happens when you have a general strike. These are the effects of a general strike.
Yeah.
They start paying the fuck attention to us.
Absolutely. And Silver Spook said, great. Yeah, bosses fire people. So what you were just saying, it is scary and there will be suffering. But there is suffering now. Like you're already suffering. People are getting fired, and there will be a lot more suffering if you just sit back and let this COVID thing roll out and let them do whatever they want. There's still going to be a lot of suffering either way, but we will gain nothing when it's done. We will be lower than we were before. So, that's just letting them do what they want. That's the same kind of, that's a liberal mindset of saying that they'll take care of it.
It's fear. And I understand fear. I understand that we're all stressed out and nervous. I'm scared. If we have a general strike, I will have to participate with it, and I'll have to turn off all my ad revenue, and I'll probably have to turn off my Patreon because I don't want Patreon's a capitalist corporation. We as content collectors will have to come up with a consensus for how we eliminate the profit that's being made on our backs, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't have it fucking shit. I just spent $1,000 soundproofing my apartment, and I have nothing. That was all my savings. Okay. So Luna and I have nothing, and it's scary, but you know what I believe in? I believe in us, and I believe that we will take care of each other, and we will relieve each other if necessary. Fortunately, I live in Vietnam where we can buy food and stuff pretty cheap. They have price controls on rice and stuff. And so that puts me in a situation where I can hopefully, be able to support other people more. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I mean, we're going to have to make sacrifices. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself, and it's going to suck. And, we might we might have problems, personally on a personal level, but collectively we can support each other. I truly, truly believe that. I've been reading out a lot of Ho Chi Minh lately because Ho Chi Minh was in a situation far worse than what we're facing right now, believe it or not. Okay. Yeah. And had the same situation that we have right now, in that there were a lot of Vietnamese people who were afraid, didn't want to participate because they didn't want to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
And
so, it's something to like, because like all of this is very real and all of this is very scary. Something to I guess lift you up a little bit is the fact that, you know, like EJ and I get a little from like Patreon and things like that. That is not Patreon paying us. Matter of fact, Patreon's taking from us. That
Patreon
is
taking from us.
Yeah, that is comrades. That is you folk out there helping us out.
And
even
if
some
we
people
can
in the
be
chat.
supported, then
So
in the long term, then we could support striking workers in the short term. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Absolutely. Well, no, that's exactly what I was saying. It's like, yeah, we can support each other. That's what we're doing right now. That's how EJ is living. That's how a small portion of my income comes in. Is you folk, is our comrades, is us supporting each other. And yeah, so we, like EJ and I and content creators, will take a hit too, but it's proof that like rich people aren't that interested in supporting each other unless it benefits themselves. And to be fair, that it's this. You can think of it the same way if it helps you. We are benefiting ourselves, even if you're a selfish asshole that just happens to be on the left, which is a contradiction. But whatever, let's say you're still supporting yourself by supporting everyone.
Well,
these are the people
egoism.
that do that.
You're talking about egoism. We got some egoist comrades, and not all. I think that there are a lot of egoist comrades who are definitely comrades, and they actually read Stirner and understand what he was trying to say. It's for our own self-preservation. You see the rich people come together and have class solidarity all the time. You see it with Joe Biden. That is class solidarity. That's what class solidarity looks like. The rich people got together and they put Joe Biden forward because they needed to have solidarity to defeat the working movement of Bernie Sanders. Now, it's going to hurt, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be destructive. That's the other thing you have to understand. The path to liberation is destructive. If we do a general strike, it's like I just said, the stock market crashing like it has in the last few days because of COVID-19, that's the effect of a general strike. That is destructive, and it's hurting people. All right, my parents just lost a shitload of their retirement in their 401k. Okay, that's a fact, and there's a lot of retired people who are going to get hurt. There are a lot of people. It's destructive. I'm going to read a passage really quickly from it's a Ho Chi Minh article called "Appeal to Compatriots to Carry Out Destruction to Wage Resistance War." I'm just going to read one paragraph from it. It says, "To fight, we must carry out destruction. If we do not do so, the French will. If our houses are solid enough to be used as bases, they will mobilize tanks and vessels to attack us, and they will burn or plunder all our property. This is why we must carry out destruction before the French can make use of our property. Suppose we want to keep sluices, roads, and houses for our own use. We can't, because the French will occupy all or destroy all." Okay? Now, that's a situation where they were literally having a violent confrontation with the French. Our situation is actually not as bad as the Vietnamese under colonial rule by France. The destruction we're talking about will be very uncomfortable. And yes, people will suffer, and we will suffer. You and I will suffer. But in the long run, it will prevent so much more suffering. And in the short term, I do believe that we can support each other and provide relief to each other. There are thousands of us. Okay, there are thousands and thousands of us. There are more of us now than there were 2 or 3 years ago when we started this, for sure. You know, a lot of us are new to this. I've been a leftist for about 3 years now. A real and I've revolutionary radical leftist.
I'll
and
by the way, the fact that there are so many new leftists is not a bad thing. That's an amazing thing.
It's what we need. Absolutely, yes. It's what we need. And this should be a wake up call. This should be the clarion call for our entire community right now, where we all go forward and we say, look at how little the rich care about us. They are literally sitting around waiting for us, the working class, to die while have you read this New York Times article about the bunkers and the luxury private doctors and stuff that the rich people are using?
Yeah. It's they're making their own little John Galt village.
It's disgusting. And they do not care about us. The government does not care about us. They're only going to pass relief if we demand it, and because their own bottom line is at risk, and that's it.
Someone tweeted that about how they're flying their private jets to these bunkers, and someone replied on the tweet with a Marx avatar, said, "I say we invest in welders and weld the door shut."
It's like they say
to the bunkers.
Actually, Luna said that they should build the wall around America and then put a lid on it. Which is kind of mean to a lot of people that don't deserve it, but there are a lot of people that that applies to.
Yeah.
They have disaster fucking bunkers, these rich fucks, and they've made all of their wealth on our backs. And then as soon as push comes to shove, they leave us to die. That is the call of the left right now. You look at what these people are, I call, people almost loosely, they're barely human to be treating their fellow humans this way. It's disgusting.
And I will say,
no more.
This is a wake-up call for a lot, not only for leftists, but for a lot of the working class that have been duped. This, for a lot of people, it's becoming too much. My mom, I will full flat out, my mom is a diehard Trump supporter, or was, I don't know.
Mine too.
Yeah. And the biggest thing when Trump got elected, my mom voted for him, and I asked why. She was like, because again, she didn't graduate high school. She dropped out of 12th grade to have my sister, and then me, and everyone went to college. She grew up on a very rural on a cotton farm, and she was like, well, I just don't want to be forced to learn Spanish, and that's the wool. That's the blanket that's been put over so many people, and that's starting to be pulled back now. All right, it's you can't. So many people can't ignore it anymore when they're watching, when they're personally suffering. And they're watching what's happening to them. This is a wake-up call for a lot of them. Take them in. My mom last night, I was talking to my mom, and she said, well, now that the president, she still wouldn't directly say his name badly, but she was like, well, now that the president fucked us, my stepfather, she's disabled. My stepfather works trucking. And so he's not doing anything right now. They've got $84 in their bank account and don't know when they're going to see money again. And they've got a mortgage and bills to pay. And they were like, well, now that the president's screwing us over. And that's what's happening. If my mom can start to lean just the slightest bit left, there's so many people. Don't say fuck you.
My mom is. I just talked to my mom, and from what I can tell, she has just been inundated with fake news, and she thinks that the National Guard is giving food out, and she thinks that they're giving free testing to anybody who wants it. It's not true. From what I can tell, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. She's getting fed this fake news. There will be a time when the news, it's going to be like impossible to hide at a certain point.
Well, I know
when
that
my mom actually needs the food, and it's not out there. That's whenever finally my mom will have to admit that Trump's not doing as great a job as the Fox News wants to make it out to be.
Well, at least nationwide, I know the free coronavirus testing isn't legal yet because I'm looking at it right here. That's what they are. Oops, that's you. That's what they are. One of the things they're voting on right now is to put that into effect. So nationwide,
and the only reason they're voting on it is because we have the de facto results of a worker strike.
Yeah.
This is what a worker strike will do for us, for the working people of the world.
And so everybody out there, when we need everyone to join us in this de facto strike and then to an intentional strike, including liberals, including Republicans who are starting to at least move left into the, into the Democratic sphere, an open hand, a middle finger to the ruling class, an open hand to the working class, no matter where they come from. Don't push away people that can be on our side, who are our brethren, whether they realize it or not. So I would say that, and they're starting to get pissed off, and we need to be extra pissed off at the right people and bringing them into our side.
This is a time for righteous rage and fury, and to use this. I mean, you need to be pissed off right now, honestly, I think, and in a productive way, not in a depressive, oh, woe is me, oh, we're all fucked, oh, we're all gonna die, oh, they don't care about. No, this is the time to get pissed off and stand up and say, enough of this. This is what people did. The United States had the first general strike in history, in modern history. There was some plebe strike in the Roman Empire, but the first modern general strike was in the United States of America, in Philadelphia. And then the last general strike in the United States was in Washington in 1919, in Seattle. And we haven't had a general strike since. But you know how the people of the world have had general strikes? How the French have been doing it for months? You know how the people in India had a general strike? That the way that they sustain themselves is they take the rage and the pain and the suffering that they go through, and they turn it into a productive energy, a productive force. And they wrestle with the fact and accept the fact that revolution is destructive and general strikes are destructive, and it is going to hurt. It's going to be painful. But in the long run, you see the effects right now, because it's just like Silver Spook said. It's so brilliant to put it this way. COVID-19 has put the United States under a de facto accidental general strike. And you see what happens. It halts the economy. It stops the capitalists in their tracks from making profits, and they pay the fuck attention. And that's the only reason. Look, you can deny the effectiveness of a general strike until now in the United States of America, because we're seeing, if we had done this collectively and intentionally, we would have had the same results. We would have emergency meetings with Congress pushing through relief packages that provide free paid sick leave. And nobody has even considered, in the capitalist class and in the government, nobody has even considered thinking of making Uber drivers and gig economy workers considered employees until right now. This is an emergency situation, and this is what a general strike will do for us. This is the power of a general strike. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm ranting again.
Well, and no, rants are good. Rants are good. And I think this is going to this is going to add to this, because a lot of the reason why people are getting pissed off is like, so let's look at get back here. Not that I'll go straight full screen. So these are the things that are being voted on right now, which are like, it's blowing up a lot of the news feeds, because it's this major leftist ideology, you know, of actually putting some aid to the people, even if it's temporary. Emergency paid sick days, emergency paid leave, expanded unemployment insurance, expanded food security. These are things, first of all, even in liberalism, these are things most of the rest of the world has already. You know, this is nothing special. But my question is, and this is kind of why I started the stream, is I think a lot of people are going to get kind of woke up, because they're seeing these things and they're good to have. You know, it's a drop, but it's good to have. And they're going to start thinking, or at least I hope so, and that's what we need to be pushing. Why the fuck didn't we have this already? You know, why was this not? We were told that this was just
if we had it already, it would have saved lives. It would have saved the economy. You want to talk about some self-destructive assholes is the capitalist class. They're going to lose all their shit now because they could. Bernie, it's like they say, Bernie Sanders was the compromise. If the capitalists didn't want to see this stuff happening, if they don't want to see all of their power and wealth evaporated, they should have been pushing for Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders was the compromise candidate. Bernie Sanders was going to hold off the revolution that's coming. Yeah, you know, if Biden gets the nomination, the capitalist class is done for. And there's no way that Biden, if Biden wins, the capitalist class is done for. And if Trump wins, they're certainly done for, because there's no way that this capitalist class that has been so inadequately prepared for these kinds of situations that we all knew were going to happen. We've been overdue for a pandemic for decades now. Mm-hmm. There's no way that this system is going to hold. Bernie Sanders was the compromise.
Yeah, and I will say, I this is not a prescription to anyone, because I'm not trying to tell anyone to do this. Like, I don't know if I can even hold my nose for Biden. Like, I'll say that.
I vote in South Carolina, and I'm not voting for Biden, period. I live in a red state.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you live in a purple state, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I don't think voting is going to be effective. If it's Biden versus Trump, I give up on the whole. Yeah, like a
slightly minusculely less smelly pile of shit is not anything to be focusing on. But I will say, I mean, this is the most generous I can give to like liberal parties outside of, and this do not detract from us from a worker movement, but on top of that, try your best to make this at least the end of the two-party system. You know, force Bernie Sanders to start a labor party at the very least. You know,
I mean, even without
Bernie Sanders, just fucking, we need to make one.
I want to make it clear there is still a path forward for Bernie Sanders, and they're having the debate in like 24, 48 hours. They're having the debate soon.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be, I love this, because of coronavirus, there's not going to be an audience in the debate this time. Like in Charleston, where they packed the house with $1,800 a ticket, wealthy Biden supporters. They're not going to be able to do that this time.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have cheers every time Biden says something and boos every time Bernie says something. They're not going to be able to do that this time. And I feel like this is the best opportunity that Bernie has had in the entire election so far.
Yeah, I'm not going to
say
the
delicate numbers out of your mind. Well, but I'm just saying, like if you want to say when Bernie has been holding the best cards, I think it's right now. Honestly, he might be low on delegates, but right now he has the best opportunity to actually.
Well, and like you said, he's not even that low, and the don't.
Yeah, he's not. You're right about that. Half the country hasn't voted. Yeah, half the country hasn't even voted yet.
Like literally, he's doing all the cards best. Right now. He's doing the best any candidate has done at this point since before Obama. Obama was not doing this good against Hillary in 2008. So, don't do that. But even like, whatever. That aside, I'm not going to say that. I'll specifically say that coronavirus is not a good thing. But like I said, we can use what's in front of us. This could be there are some benefits here. It's Sanders is not going to have to make nearly as big a case to prove why we need socialized healthcare and why we need protection for the working class, because this is our dust bowl. This is where we need to open the door. And for any non-Americans or people who don't know about this, during the Dust Bowl era, the
non-boomers, non-pre-greatest generationers,
they were having it wasn't a Senate, was it a committee hearing? Do you know what was the actual event that was going on? It was like a Senate hearing to get relief for the dust storms that were happening in the Midwest and in the Great Plains because they were just destroying these crops. And so what they did is they held a meeting right where they expected, I think it was like a Senate committee hearing, right where they expected one of these giant storms to happen. And it did. And the whole fucking hall got surrounded. Like outside was just, the windows were orange. And they were like, fucking look, this is our dust bowl. Don't actually open up the doors with a bunch of sick people, but just fucking show the news and be like, look, it's right here in your face.
I don't want to, I feel cruel almost, but it's necessary. And this is part of the destructive nature of revolution, I think I'm talking about. But it's like, I don't want my mom to be forced to confront the reality of the situation in such a horrific way, but there is going to be a point where Fox News can't be lying about what's happening in your front yard.
Yeah.
And you can't insulate people from this. I mean, if you look at what's happening, have you seen what's happening in Italy?
With them closing the borders?
Italy is in dire straits right now.
Yeah.
I'll try to find I'm going to find a news article. Hold on.
Yeah, do that. Hold on. I've been neglecting the chat, and I see someone saying that there's some racism going on. Silver Spooks, I made you a moderator. If you can possibly help out, you're just one of the only people better
not be Theory, racist in my chat.
Theory, I'm going to make you a mod as well, if that's okay. I've been sorry. I guess that's the thing about rants is well, I guess if anyone knows it, it's Silver Spook. That's the thing about ranting is you get focused and you don't actually pay attention to the chat for a while. You become less engaged. So I am sorry. I'm looking through the chat, see if there's any.
They might have already banned them. I don't know.
Maybe. Yes, please do. I give you guys full authority, you folks. Obama was not doing this good. Okay, maybe I get misinformation. Theory. I'm sorry.
But
no. That is what I'm saying. Yeah, Obama was not doing as good as Sanders is right now. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Right.
You want me to share the screen?
Well, no, not necessarily. It's not that interesting. Okay. But Italy is just like basically they're describing it as being like a world war. There are instances. I want to confirm I don't want to say this without confirming it. But Luna was reading some stuff that was like super scary last night. Hold on, just keep talking without me for a minute. I want to find. I want to confirm this.
Well, no, I am.
That's it. Okay, I found it. I found this Washington Post. Okay, this is true. I didn't want to say this, and I didn't want to alarm people if this wasn't true. It is true. In Italy, people are being trapped at home with their loved ones' bodies. And I saw she showed me a post, and I didn't know if it was fake news. Apparently, this is true. There was an actor who had to spend like days with his dead sister because they couldn't risk exposing healthcare workers to it. And this is happening. This is happening in Italy. Okay, this is happening, and you can't deny that this stuff is happening when it's happening in your backyard. So I'm telling you, it's really terrifying, and it sucks. But if nothing else, we need to be taking this and using it to wake people the fuck up, because like there's just it's upsetting for me to think about this and talk about this. It's really upsetting when I think about it. It's like the Black Plague. It's like the Black Plague, where you're sitting there, you have to spend days with your loved ones' dead bodies. That's awful, and it could happen in the USA if they continue to neglect us the way that they have been.
Yeah, and I will say, like, because for anyone in the chat or watching this doesn't know, I used to live in China for 5 years. I've got 1,000,000,001 different criticisms of China. I am not a stan of the Chinese government, but locally there are some there are socialist aspects that still are in play, and they're great. They, like, the medical professionals are just I've been just doing an outstanding job of containing this, and which my heart goes out to every medical professional around the world dealing with this. Not just China.
There are a lot of heroes in Vietnam. I know there are like nurses and doctors who are working around the clock and sleeping at the hospital. And a lot of them have, in China and Vietnam, have come down with coronavirus. They've been exposed. I don't know about the rest of the world, but, the first doctor in China to discover coronavirus, basically, and make it known, died of the disease. So it's absolutely, these are heroes,
Yeah, they're superheroes. Are heroes. But the medical, like, they started, and this is something America needs to really start thinking about, and probably needs to start planning and starting and getting into action, is temporary triages in hospitals. And that's not to scare anyone, but you need to be prepared. And it was a very good thing that China, again, I have tons of criticism of the government, especially the federal government. They sat on this and tried to pretend it wasn't there. The same thing that America's basically been doing. And was a huge failure. But local governments and the federal government got behind it once, the cat was out of the bag, started building all these temporary hospitals because we just don't have enough beds. And they didn't. And then they started enacting things like they started doing stimulus, but they started putting funding into pushing delivery services. So probably Uber Eats and all of them got their share out of it. I'm not gonna say they didn't, but one thing China does have is tons of delivery. And they've started enacting these systems where, like, you can set up for no contact delivery, where they'll leave it at a certain space, like outside your door or something, and then they'll go away, and then you come out and get it, and that protects not only you but the delivery driver. They're doing things,
They're doing that in Vietnam with like bamboo poles, where the delivery driver comes up and they like stick the bamboo pole out and they'll just like take it back. They are. It's really
that's
really
cool. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
that makes me think of
it's not like everybody's doing it, but a lot of people are doing it, and I think
that makes me think of The Fifth Element. If you remember the beginning, where like there's like the Chinese delivery guy. He's on like a flying like barge or flying ship.
Oh yeah.
And he comes out and he like leans it into the doorway.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
That's awesome.
It's protecting the drivers, at least. I worry a lot about like cash, though, because cash, I don't know. Is it possible to spread the disease through cash? That makes me worry.
I thought about that yesterday when someone gave me change back. I've been keeping a bottle of like Purell on me at all times, and a lot of times not paper money, but like, well, you don't have coins, but you have plastic money though. But I'll like kind of I'll double do it. I'll like put some on my hands and I'll clean my hands while I've got the coins in my hand, because why not? I had to an interesting situation for my dinner last night. I had to lose about $4 because I went to they do tons of buffet style things here, which have definitely been hit hard, and I can understand why. But it's cheap and I don't make much money, so I went to one, and it's like the local one that I go to all the time. And I was like getting my food, And then I went up to the like the owner, like this old woman, really nice woman, and I talk to her all the time, and she's like sniffling, and she doesn't have a mask on, and I had to be like, but I didn't want to like just say no and walk away because I wanted to be nice to her, so I bought it, and then I had to I threw it away, and I had to go get other food. I didn't want to give it to someone because the whole point is I didn't want to eat it. I don't want to give the disease to someone else, but just because I didn't want to be like mean to her, which she probably wouldn't have taken it that way. But yeah, I had to like go buy food again.
Yeah.
But also, if you're watching, lady at the Biendong place, put a mask on, please. I'm sure you're watching my show. Sini dan ko jiao.
The other thing is that, like, given the fact that we've got these quarantines and people are isolating and that sort of thing, it's like there's literally never been a time in my lifetime when a general strike would be easier. We're already in a lot of cases basically participating in a lot of different ways. So we could just do a stay-at-home general strike. Just don't go to work. Don't allow capitalists to profit off of you. I mean, it's the time is now. I'm saying we pick a day. I don't know if it's April 1st. I don't know if it's May Day. That's, I don't want to make any of these decisions. We need to make them collectively. I don't know how much time it's going to take to prepare. But then we start getting prepared. We start getting ready. We start planning the relief fund drives. We start, ordering food for, the best case scenarios would be people who can locally organize, because then what you could do is you can maybe like order a pallet of food or order, I don't know, like do things collectively to save money. But that's what I'm saying. We need to start organizing and planning. It's enough talk. It's time to start doing shit, and it's time to start doing stuff that's really, really going to affect the situation.
And for all of you out there that I'm included, that are like, well, I just don't know where to start. Like, okay, that sounds great, but what do I do? That's why joining a union is a super important thing. It's not only something you need to be doing, it's going to make it easier on you. Like it's you go there, you can if no one has brought it up, go to your local chapter and bring up these things like there's been this talk, and especially if it's in the IWW, they can all communicate together.
Yes,
and they're going to support these
networks.
They're I get it.
Exists. The DSA, the IWW, the Socialist Rifle Association. If you're in these organizations, start the conversation right now. Go out, put out, go on the Facebook group or the Discord server or whatever, for whatever groups you're in, and start the conversation. How are we going to plan for a general strike?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is the next step for our movement, whether Bernie wins or not.
And this is again, it's this. No one's saying coronavirus is a good thing, but there are some gifts inside of it that are being handed to us, and we need to use them. I'm not going to show it because it's on my Facebook, but somebody, the Queer Diasporas, which is a great Facebook page if you're on Facebook, put up a quote that says, "Mass self-quarantine of the workforce until universal healthcare is enacted strikes me as a good idea."
Yes. I mean, look, I was talking about April 1st. If that's too soon, Cam was also talking about May Day. But general strike for universal health, whatever our demands are going to be. I mean, maybe it's universal healthcare. Maybe that's too big. Maybe we start with something like just free healthcare across the board and free paid sick leave. I mean, maybe they'll get all that stuff and then we can move on to something else. Maybe $15 an hour. I don't know. But general strike, because they are leaving us to die. They are flying off to their rich, wealthy coronavirus bunkers, and they're leaving us to die when all of their wealth came off of our backs.
Yeah, and that. Again, use these little things like this relief package that's being put through. So you get paid sick time. Use it, and coordinate.
Yes.
Of course, you can't coordinate your illness, but coordinate as best you can with your local chapters to say, everyone happens to get sick at the same time. Everyone happens to need to use that emergency paid leave at the same time, and then if it's necessary, no one goes back for a while.
You could plan slow down. Like, it's the time to organize. It's the time to organize, not just sit back, not fuck around and do nothing. Organize, talk to your fellow workers, talk about organizing things like slowdown strikes. I mean, look, this is the time to get together and show, and this is the time to point out they don't care about us. Everything they've ever said has been a lie. Everything that they do is for themselves. I'm talking about the global elites, the capitalists, the politicians, the people who have power over all of us. They don't care about us. They do not support us when push comes to shove. They fly off to their bunkers. They don't do shit for us unless it affects their bottom line. You know, if the stock market completely tanks because the labor grinds to a halt because of a virus, that's when they start to put together relief packages and give us the shit that they should have had enacted long time ago.
And absolutely, yeah, like that's all this stuff is it's only going through because they need it. They need us. And if we all die, then we're not useful to them. It's not because they finally said, sorry, you know, there's none of that happening. And all of you out there should be pissed off, especially like, you know, specifically Americans should be pissed off that you're like, well, fuck. That's like somebody saying, like, oh man, I know you're starving. I wish I had a sandwich to give you. And then you open up the door and they got a fucking closet full of sandwiches. You know, it's like, so we could have fucking had this the whole goddamn time. And this is again, the tiniest drop.
It's exactly what, I mean, it goes back to the very basics. They have everything. They stole it all from us and they restrict it from us and make us fight for the scraps. And it's enough of that. Time to restrict our labor from these capitalists. Time to make them stop profiting off of us when we know that they're just going to turn around and abandon us when push comes to shove. There's absolutely no reason that they should be making billions of dollars off of our backs when they're flying off to their disease bunkers and their private jets and saying, fuck you to the working class. They don't care about us. They never have, and they never will. They're not going to give us anything. We need to stop the mentality of asking for them to give us things, and we need to demand to take back what's ours. And it's time. This is the wake up call. And I feel sick about it. No pun intended. I feel terrible about it because we've been talking about it, and we know that it will work, but we haven't been doing enough. Camazotz made a Twitter thread a while back, and it was kind of a wake up call. It was like, it's time to stop drip feeding ideology and talking about this stuff endlessly, and it's time to start doing it. Camazotz is going to be having a fundraiser, by the way, this weekend. Yes. If you're not familiar with Camazotz, great Twitch streamer. Definitely subscribe to Camazotz. It's like Camazotz_ALTAR. I'll put it in my chat right now. But Camazotz is going to be having a fundraiser this weekend for his local IWW chapter, where they're going to try to get together a community center for their IWW chapter. And that's the kind of shit we need to be doing right now. Raising funds for our working groups, raising funds for our unions, for the DSA, for all these organizations, and then getting them bigger, growing them out, and taking action. Now is the time. There's never been a better time. And like I said, Bernie Sanders is holding the best cards ever right now. We should all be pissed off. We should all be angry, but we should be hopeful because this is a good opportunity. And I'm not saying, you know, we should be like opportunistic about coronavirus like TubeBuddy was in the email I got at the beginning of the stream. No, I'm saying desperate times have arrived. Yeah. And that calls for desperate activity. And that's what we need to be doing right now is getting up and acting and organizing and doing all the shit we've been talking about. We talk about this stuff endlessly. We make videos about it. We all watch the videos. We like the videos. We share the videos. But we need to start doing the shit that we talk about in the videos. End of discussion.
And not only is it time, and this necessitates it even more so, it's also an opening. You know, these are again with this sick leave going through, with this just if nothing else, even if none of that passed, the excuse is there. You know, if you've been sitting around, this is enough to say, well, shit. You know, that like the government completely, even if you're like a liberal, even like a Rust Belt, Bible Belt liberal, a lot of you, if you're working class, a lot of you can understand, well, the fucking government just fucked me. And that's like a very easy to understanding, even with Republicans. You know, there's like, well, the government fucks us. And that's what Trump ran on, was that I'm outside the government, and you know, use that mentality. Use the government's gonna fuck us either way.
They already have. And there are people who are dead right now because of the negligence, the eugenic negligence of the capitalist class of the United States of America. There are people who are dead right now. I have family members who are sick right now. I have friends who are sick right now and can't get tested. Okay, and you do too. I'm sure if you're watching this right now, you know somebody who's affected by this in a terrible way. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah,
it is.
If even if they didn't get the disease or you know, anything like that, their work is affected. Like I said, my mom's husband can't go to work. He can't make any money right now. You know, she's on disability. She's got a lot to risk with this. And then, by the way, disability doesn't even cover half their mortgage. And then on top of that, so they're offering a SBS with small business loans to small businesses to stimulate the economy as well. Loans. It's not a bailout. And they're like a reduced interest. And I was like yelling at my mom through chat last night about this. And it's like, if the government wanted to fucking help you, they would not give you a loan. They would just fucking give it to you. And even if it was a loan, they would not profit off of it. A reduced interest rate is still profit for them.
Interest.
It's still interest. And it's because they know you cannot not accept it.
Right.
And you'll still have to pay it back. You'll come out of this in debt.
It's like the Trump's talking about how we're going to defer interest on student loans for, you know, the duration of coronavirus outbreak or whatever. But it's like education and healthcare are human rights, and they're acting like they're doing us this big favor by not straddling us with horrifying debt, you know, for a few months.
Yeah,
just
think
so
about
you
it
can
like
continue working for us.
Like, say you were kidnapped and you're being held in someone's basement, and they give you like some mustard on your sandwich of dog food to keep you alive. You know,
and then
are you
they
supposed
ask
to
you to
thank them? Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to thank them for it.
We've got Goblin Plus, by the way, in my Twitch chat right now. I really feel for you. Says that they're sick in the UK and can't get tested. And this has happened to I have several friends in this situation. I have family members in this situation. And they're elderly people and disabled people. I'm over it. I'm ready to get to fucking work.
Yeah. And look, folks, even outside of our rights, even outside of like what we deserve, we're all gonna fucking burn. Like, there's no time
even if
left,
they,
you know?
like there's a chance, okay, and I think they probably, you know, because the capitalists don't want this to. I don't think most capitalists want this disease to kill every single person in America or anything like that. You know what I mean? That's why they see that the stock market's crashing. They see that they're losing profits, so they are going to mobilize and probably provide some relief, and we'll probably get through the pandemic here. I'm actually very hopeful about the fact that like this isn't going to be the end of the world or anything like that. There's no reason to think that at this point. Okay, we'll probably get through this. We'll come out on the other end. Now the question is, what do we do on the other end of that?
No, I'm talking about climate change. Like, either way.
That's exactly right. Breadbeard, thank you. Oh my God.
That's what I mean. We're going to burn. Like,
no, we are all going to die because of climate change. So you think about what this coronavirus looks like right now, right? In 10, 15, 20 years when climate change has been completely irreversibly enacted. I'm losing my ability to talk. You know, when it's kicked in, irreversibly, that's going to be 1,000 times worse than this. And you're going to have diseases cropping up all over the world, and we're not going to be able to contain them. It's going to be awful. We have precious little time to do this. I know. Look, I have no money in my bank account right now. Okay, and I know that if we go on a general strike in April or May or whatever, it's going to pinch like hell. It's going to hurt. Okay, and I'm not exactly sure how we're going to get through it. I can just hope that we can rely on each other, build support networks, take care of each other. But I will tell you one thing. I am absolutely willing to go through that with all of you. And I am absolutely willing to lose everything. And I swear to God that this is true. I will lose every single thing that I have, every possession, every penny I have, or dong, I guess, in my case, because I live in Vietnam. But I will lose everything with you if you will do it with me. And together we will fight together. If I have you in my corner, and I'm talking to everybody watching this right now, every leftist out there, if we do it together, I can make it through that. And I know that there are some people who can't. I know that there's some people who are disabled. I know that there's some people who are already sick before this ever happened. And I know that there are people who have families and children. I don't have children, you know, thankfully. But, you know, I'm just saying, I know that there are people who aren't going to be able to make the same kind of sacrifices for whatever reason, don't have the capacity, don't have the capability. But for those of us who can, I am absolutely willing to go through hell if you will go with me. And if we will do it together, side by side, and support each other through it, I'm willing to go through that. And I'll do it gladly and happily, and I'll sing and laugh through the whole thing. with you.
And
if you
and
come
not
with me.
only will, and same for me. Well, not only will we go through it with you, it will make it that much easier. Every person who joins makes it easier for every other person. You know that when we all
Absolutely.
support each other, that's the
Yes.
whole point of the support. Is
Yes.
none of us will fall completely. You know,
Unity, great unity, success, great success. I've read those words 1,000 times from Ho Chi Minh. I've read them so many times. I never really felt them, and they never really resonated with me until going through this right now. And now I finally understand what I think about, because the fact is that Ho Chi Minh worked for decades, okay? Ho Chi Minh walked around, had to literally walk across the border to escape Vietnam to go get help internationally, and had to fight for decades before anyone would even pay attention to him. And I always read those stories about, like, how he would go from country to country begging for help. The Vietnamese people, a lot of Vietnamese people ignored him for decades. A lot of people internationally ignored him for decades. And I never really realized how frustrating that must have been, because Ho Chi Minh knew that if the working people could just unite together and have that unity, that great unity, that they would have great success. And finally, when they did, starting in the late 40s, because of the same exact kind of situation. The reason Vietnam was able to throw off colonialism wasn't because they got into a great situation where they had really great material conditions and everything was great. It was because they got desperate. Because in the 1940s, Japan, fascists invaded Vietnam. And it was through that desperate time when the Japanese were brutalizing people even worse than the French were. And it was through that devastation and that destruction that the Vietnamese people found their strength. And so that's what we need to be looking to right now. We need to look at the working people of the past, the people who did the general strikes in the 1800s in Philadelphia, the people who did the general strikes in Seattle, Washington in 1919. We need to be reading their stories, reading how they did it, reading the suffering that they went through, and be inspired by that, because things are not as bad right now as they were in Vietnam in 1945 or 1951 or 1965. Okay, we have it better than they did. We have communication tools that they did not have. We have resources, and we have the hindsight, and we have their story and their example to look back to that they did not have. So if they could do it, and if they could overthrow the Japanese, the French, the United States of America, some of those powerful countries in the entire world in history, we can get through this, and we can do it together. I need to go get some water. Luna promised that she would get me some water, and she never did. So I'm going to give Breadbeard.
I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would be parched.
There's no solidarity in my household, Luna. I'll be right back.
And yeah, so folks, if again, like, I know, at least the same for me, it's scary. And it can, not only is it scary, but it's confusing. It seems like, well, okay, this sounds great, but where do you fucking start? How do you with any project, it's like, where's the fucking point to start at? With an organization that has already got some structure and infrastructure built up, especially IWW is good for this because it's a large union. It's not just a local one. Like, if you're in a local union, use that. But you can also use, if your union allows for it, the IWW to communicate. And that's a good place to start. That's, again, I just got off my ass and finally got it started because we were waiting on some other things, but there's no time for that. And those will still happen with creators union, stuff like that. But go ahead and get in contact with them, get joined up. They have resources. They're there to guide you and to help you and get you fucking started. And you don't have to just go in it by yourself. And so, yeah, if you feel like lost and like you just confused and no clue where to start, that's where to start is just in your organization, in your union. I bring up telecommuting into there. See if they can get like a fucking live stream going on or something, or a chat or video conference that they can do or something.
The DSA and the IWW and all these organizations, they should basically start up some like permanent live streams where people can come in, and if you're like a registered member of the organization, like it doesn't have to be public either. They're a private live streaming. They're like video chat systems. But I mean, I feel like everybody should have, like, we should be talking to each other right now. We should be having conferences, and all virtually. We don't have to come together physically to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. We have the technology right now.
As a matter of fact, maybe best not to right now.
No, I'm saying that we shouldn't. We should not.
That's what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, not only do we not have to, we probably shouldn't right now.
Yeah. So we can do this stuff right now. We can have conversations and meetings and organizing sessions virtually. And this is awesome. This is great. They couldn't think about if this happened 100 years ago. Think about this. If this happened in Vietnam in 1965, if they had a big virus outbreak, they would have been screwed. There's nothing they could have done. Right. But for us, isolation doesn't halt us in our tracks the way it would have, years and years ago.
Yeah.
We have we have so many tools and resources, and we have each other, and that's more than we need.
And I'm looking in your Twitch chat, Poopy Dickens. You're right. It is. Yeah.
This is how seriously you were able to say that. I'm impressed.
By the way, let me back up.
Poopy Dickens.
To a beautiful thing when I made the analogy of being held in the basement and getting mustard on your shit sandwich or your Poopy Dickens. The name is perfect. It said, well, Dijon mustard along with that name. It's just perfect. Yeah.
Great poop on.
Yeah, great poop on. Anyways, yeah, you said the IW is actually kind of small. In one place, yes, and I more what I specifically meant was it's very vast. Is probably a better word than it's everywhere. It's worldwide.
Yeah.
So it allows a lot of different locations to communicate. That's what the.
And this is a great opportunity to get people signed up for the IWW, by the way, and grow it out.
Yes,
grow it out.
And we're talking to people. I got 46 people non-compete. You got what do you got in Twitch? 36,
35,
30. Okay. And so that's good. That's collectively like 80 people that we're reaching. Yeah. All 80 of you go reach.
We need
more
you to go out. Each one teach one. It's one of the oldest expressions of the left. Each one teach one. We cannot do this alone. I have altogether between my Twitch and my Twitter, I have 100,000 people, but only a fraction of the subscribers and followers actually see what I tweet out and put out on Twitter and YouTube and stuff. So we need you to go out and spread the word. Okay. I mean, like talking about this general strike, I believe that the time is absolutely right now for us to start planning a general strike. I don't want to lead the effort because I'm not even in the USA. I shouldn't be the one leading this at all. There's no way that I'm going to lead this. And we need people in the. I will support it. I will signal boost it. I will sacrifice, as much as I can, as much as I'm able. I will sacrifice everything for it if we all come in together and do together. I've already said that, and I'm not making light. I'm not saying that lightly. It terrifies me. I'm terrified. Yeah. I'm scared as hell. I've never gone
and all of you should be, and that's use that fear, But all of these emotions, you can use them, and use that fear as anger.
I will say this though, yes, maybe I'm not in the USA, but we're talking about doing all this stuff virtual anyway, so I can be right there beside you, basically doing everything you're doing and making the same sacrifices you're doing. So honestly, I'm here. I can't lead it. I don't know how to lead it. I'm not a great organizer or anything like that. I'm not. But if one of you is slightly better than me, then get the ball rolling a little bit, and then somebody else can we'll roll the ball together. That's how you build a big snowball.
I'm
terrible at making analogies. We'll make a big ball.
Yeah, a big old commie ball.
And I will communist say, balls together.
This is
what is wrong with me?
You have two white folk here, two fair skinned people telling you this. I will say, not only righteously, but tactically, you should also be very, very much listening to indigenous people of color, marginalized people, not only because they've been oppressed and for lack of a better word, deserve it, but deserve kind of to lead the way, but
deserve to be listened
to.
They're
better at it. They deserve to be listened to. Yeah. There's don't take someone's classification as automatic rightness, of course, but tactically, a lot of these people, you look at the Wet'suwet'en, you look at the Zapatista, you look at the Silver Spook, you look at the Native Indigenous Hawaiians. They've been doing this a long time, and they've had the most experience, not only with what oppression looks like, but how to combat it, and how to
relieve each other, support each other through difficult times. They have the apparatus, and they can teach us. If we're willing to listen to them and let them show us the way, then they can teach us a lot. And you can look at the Black community, who's been through so many struggles. The LGBTQ plus community has definitely gone through this before. They know what they're doing. Yep. These are the people that have endured hardships for centuries now, and they have the experience. And it's like, all I could do, look, I understand the irony of a couple of white guys on Twitch and YouTube. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm saying I believe this would work. And if we decide to do it collectively, I am with you 100%. That's what I'm saying. I think it could work, and I'm with all of you, but I'm not going to be the one leading the charge. I'm not going to be the one doing all the organizing. I will signal boost. That's the role I can play. I will signal boost. I will make the sacrifices with you. I will take I will take the hit financially, all that kind of stuff I can do with you, but I cannot lead the charge, and I shouldn't be the one leading the charge. A 36-year-old white guy, should not be, white non-binary dude, I guess, whatever you want to call me, should not be leading this charge. We need the young people. We need the people who are marginalized. We need your voices, okay? We need you to come take the lead, and I will listen, and I will follow orders, and I will signal boost you. That's what I'm here for, okay? Yeah. And I'm behind you every step of the way, here to take orders and do what needs to be done. And when I say take orders, I'm being a little bit glib. I want to build this in a way where it's a flat hierarchy, and it's in accordance with my anarchistic principles. But what I really want is for it to be built. If you build it, they will come. I believe that. Yeah. So that's look, as Silverspook says, great Indigenous Hawaiian activist, a brilliant orator. I believe that. I'm being serious when I say that. Americans, you got to get your shit together. And Silverspook, if you want to come on the stream, you're more than welcome. Yeah. I can get you an invitation.
You know a person who might be able to get you. Oh, you're on Twitch too. Yeah, you can do your own.
Oh shit, Silverspook. What do you call it? What is it? Caveat 41. What's it called? No. Shit. Exception of the rule 40. What's it called? The fucking book with major. What's that book called? Oh my god.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Fahrenheit. No. What the hell is that book? No, not Fahrenheit 451. It's Catch 22.
Oh, Catch. Oh. Okay, I didn't know where you were.
Catch 22'd me. Silverspook Catch 22'd me, because I said I'm here to follow orders, and Silverspook said, "EJ, I order you to organize your general strike." Damn it!
Oh, and he was also on the name. Spook, if you check your you don't have to if you're busy, but if you check your Discord, I sent you a link if you want to come in to the StreamYard.
Yeah.
Which will also I guess go into Twitch if everything right. If the robot overlords are still working correctly.
Robot overlords.
You still sound like a robot. You don't sound like an overlord. But you sound like
I sent you a Chrome extension to mute the tab. It worked for me.
I did. Yeah.
But if you like me sounding like a robot, then I can understand that.
I get. There's a reason why I don't stream very much, guys. I've got such bad ADD, and I get flustered, and I don't because I don't do it much. I also like. At least you've had you've gotten comfortable with it. You've been doing it so long. But I'm always just like, what am I doing right now? And that's why I'm neglecting the chat, by the way, guys. I'm sorry.
ADHD stream.
I do
just little ADHD streamer things. That's what this stream's all about.
But I'm kind of liking the robot voice, anyways.
If you don't organize, Trev Ken, if you don't organize a general strike, we will withdraw funding.
And we have a spook in the chat.
Yes. Yes.
Weird to say.
Silverspook, if you look at the private chat, do you see the link that I put up for the StreamYard, the other StreamYard link?
Other StreamYard link.
It says, I never tried this before, but I think this will work.
In the private chat.
Can you see
it's like one of the first things.
I'll just paste it again. Anyway, that's for my my Twitch chat if you want to.
Because we're two different accounts. It's his account and my account. So if you open that up, then you will show up on Twitch. Because right now you're just showing up on mine.
Oh, okay. So should I close?
Keep two tabs open. No. Keep
them both open. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. You're talking on two channels at the same time is what you'll be doing.
Yeah, we're simulcasting.
Here we go. Is it working?
Gotcha. Yeah, we're good.
Otherwise,
Okay.
some
You good?
people on Twitch might be really confused every time we respond to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Silver Spook. All right, and I would just like to say, Silver Spook, you have the floor. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about this situation.
Yeah.
I gave you Breadbeard's floor too, without Breadbeard's consent. So sorry about that.
I can
Okay. Can I mute one of the tabs without muting both of them? By the way.
Yeah, I put a link to it. I'll put it. There's a Chrome extension that you can install. It's very quick, and that's what I used
I should
to mute one of the
look
tabs.
into that as well.
If you're in Chrome,
Oh, okay.
it takes about 10 seconds. You just install it, and then you can click the little. Sorry about that. This is
Okay. Yeah.
This is not the most ideal situation for streaming, but
Oh, you know what? We're
reaches you.
circumventing the corporate guidelines. You
Twitch, YouTube barrier.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
The twoob. The twoob barrier. The great twoob barrier.
Silver Spook looks like you just saw God.
I saw Google Chrome, which is God. Google's God. Did you know that? Narpachai. Anyways, how do I mute one tab now?
Okay, so
Did you
now once
install
you've
the
got it
extension?
installed, yeah, if you've got the extension installed, then next to your little user avatar at the top right, there's a little mute tab
yeah.
extension button now.
Wait,
Okay. Is it working?
that's wrong.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know.
All
You
right.
have to listen to us.
Sweet.
Okay,
That did
Okay,
work.
anyways,
Silver Spook, welcome aboard.
So what I think I gave one to Theory Plebe yesterday. What do you want? You something in particular you want me to talk about, or just whatever? Or just
You talk about
well,
what you want to talk about.
I mean, like, how do you feel about the situation with COVID-19, and how are we supposed to respond to it? What can we do?
Yeah, like I don't know. I see a lot of people like dooming out. A lot of people like kind of like bumming out. I get it. Americans. Again, okay. Well, if you don't know, most people know here. But I'll give you a really short spiel because I think most people know. But I am Silver Spook. I'm a Native Hawaiian Indigenous activist. As well as my day job is I'm an indie game programmer where we're in a worker-owned cooperative too, myself and Holly Argent. So we're already doing socialism here, and we actually live in the Big Island of Hawaii, where we have what I call indigenous anarcho-socialism. It's very similar to Vietnam in the way we have like very well contained. As far as I understand, the coronavirus people aren't freaking out here. Public infrastructure. We have the clinics are sliding scale. So if you can't afford healthcare, like I'm not worried about our healthcare. Like if any of us do get sick, even within operating within the United States, illegally occupying empire. And like we're gonna have family visiting from another island, and we're not freaking out about it. But in general, like I don't know where do I go from there. So I mean, people are saying we can't general strike. You brought up this idea. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Oh my God! Capitalism is hurting us, and this with the coronavirus is just accelerating the rate at which we're being hurt. People are going like a lot of people are saying like, well, we can't do anything. If we try to strike, they're just going to fire us. If it's just going to hurt us. And like, it's hard. I know it's very hard because America wants to make it. Yeah, 660% of Americans are $400 away from bankruptcy, and they have no money, and that's where they want you. It's part of why the French have nice things, and they have a dollar test for coronavirus, and you're all being mass slaughtered for all your money and all of, and I mean, it's really horrific. I know, and I feel really bad for EJ and Softboy because I know you guys had family in areas where they are like being hurt so badly, in like these, especially in these red states where they believe so strongly in the thing that's killing them and stealing their entire life savings, their entire 401k. My parents also lost most of their entire life savings. If you have a house. So it's like, what can we do? But at the same time, let me just say, I'll start with something like hopeful. Like in Hawaii, like I said, we have defeated capitalists, like billionaires. Okay, so when you start defeating billionaires, then you give me a call. Like, let me know when you start doing that. We have already fucked up one of the richest people on the planet, Gordon Moore, Silicon Valley billionaire. In collaboration with the United States, UC California system headed by Janet Napolitano, ex-Homeland Security, high-level officer for the United States Military Industrial Intelligence Complex, in collaboration with Justin Trudeau and his country, Canada, which is basically a so-called Canada, which is a 3 oil companies in a stupid hat, in a trench coat, carrying a gun to install pipelines. So they tried also to install, along with the Japanese and Indian government, and I think the Chinese were in this as well. So all of your capitalist empires, led by a Silicon Valley billionaire, tried to install an obsolete telescope on this is the native Hawaiian flag. I don't live in America. We live in the illegally occupied country of Hawaii. And they have tried to install a obsolete $1.5 billion telescope on our mountain. International capital interest from the Empire of China and the Empire of the United States, and they have fucking failed. They have failed miserably. India has pulled out. Japan has just pulled out. They organized the largest organization of police and military in the history of Hawaii, from Oahu, Molokai, Kauai, every island. There were thousands of cops and the military. They got LRAD sound cannons. They had fucking all the assault rifles, all the bombs and guns you can think of. And I'm not joking when I say bombs. They brought out a fucking B-52A Stratofortress and started bombing the fucking mountain with 15,000 pounds of C4. And they bragged about it internally to the Republican military jingoistic asshats. Look at that. We did some military action with laser-guided army, laser guns. And in collaboration with the Air Force, we bombed the shit out of Pohakuloa Air Force Base, 6 miles away from 70-year-old Hawaiian elders trying to defend their mountain from obsolete telescopes, which 600 astronomers have said we don't need. We the professional imagers of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy do not require Earth-based telescopes, 30 meter, 40 meter, or otherwise. But capitalists don't give a shit because all they care about is milking the entire planet, its resources, and its people. Telescopes and Bloomberg skyscrapers in the current neo-feudal collapsar capitalism, in which every American is being fleeced and sucked by the vampires and every last house. Telescopes, 200-story skyscrapers, houses are the skyscrapers are mile-high glass, steel, and concrete vertical bank vaults to store Bloomberg, Bezos, Gates, Jack Ma, Russian oligarchs, Saudi F-35 purchasers, billions in. That's all it is. Okay? And they want every last fucking house that all y'all have. There's 120 million American homeowners. Okay? I'm guessing EJ and Southbury, I'm sure that you have some boomer uncle, relatives, or Gen X, or somebody who has millennials. Most of millennials don't have no shit, they don't have jack shit. But my parents still have some money in the 401k. Like, there are people who still own houses. Oh, yeah. They want every last fucking penny. That's what the universal death care system is. People think I'm fucking around. I'm not fucking around. I've seen what happens. I have my friend in Oahu. He has 4 grandparents, every single last one of them, because of cancer, because of leukemia. They got some kind of back problem. And tens or hundreds of thousands of medical bills. Every last house has been stolen from them and given to a Bloomberg or a Bezos. They're taking the entire country private. 3 people own as much wealth as half the country. Soon, 3 to 10 people will own every house, every acre, and every single last one of you Americans will be a serf or dead. Okay, that's where you're going. I know it sounds scary, but that's where they want you. This is what America has done. It is doing it to the people in the Middle East. Just thank God that you weren't born in Iraqi and that you have the goddamn luxury of the shred of the joke that is the Constitution. You can stand on the street and say, please, can we have healthcare? And they don't send a fucking Reaper or Predator drone piloted by some wonk inside of with a PS4 controller and send a Hellfire missile and blow you and your entire fucking family up for the crime of asking for anything. Just thank your fucking lucky stars you were born white. And if you were born white, if you're born inside of the imperial metropole of the United States, use your fucking privilege, get your ass out there and stop this shit, because they sure as fuck can't do it. 3 million Middle Easterners are dead. Central and South America, they are being slaughtered left and right and thrown into the goddamn Chilean mines like for the last 40 years of neoliberalism and much longer when you take what happened to the genocide of Native Americans. Thank God you weren't born a Native American in fucking 1780. Thank God you weren't born fucking black in Africa. You have the opportunity to do a general strike. They can't general strike in Iraq. They can't general strike in a lot of places. Okay? So shut the fuck up and stop whining about how the billionaires might not give me what we want. I might lose my fucking job. Shut the fuck up. Okay? Shut the fuck up. You could have been born fucking Native Hawaiian and have your entire fucking language banned. Okay? Until 1986. Technically, a Hawaiian was arrested 2 years ago for speaking Hawaiian in a courtroom in Hawaii. You could have your entire fucking culture turned into for-profit fake plastic luau's for the profit of rich fucking billionaires in America who don't live here. $3.3 million is what the CEO made last year from Hawaiian Airlines. He's a fucking white asshole. He's a white capitalist asshole. He might be related to one of you, and he's selling our culture to this day our sacred prayers and our sacred dances. Hula is a sacred prayer. The chants are sacred. How we honor our elders, our parents, and our grandparents, and all of our kupuna and the gods. And you could have your entire fucking culture turned into a humiliating joke where you work 3 fucking starvation wage jobs for your whole life. I'm a 4th generation neo-feudal serf. My parents before me taught rich children for their entire life. My brothers and cousins, they bastardized their own culture. They don't even know what they're doing. Okay, my father still thinks that he's an American. Chris, we're all Americans now. While he limps around with his brother dying from with his dialysis machine going out. They lost power for 8 days. They're all my parents are borderline homeless. I have other friends whose parents are all homeless and they've died on the street shooting up. Okay, so shut the fuck up and complaining, Americans. Get your fucking act together. Okay, shut your fucking Death Star down. Okay, I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard because you spent your whole life being the cow, okay, consuming the world's neoliberalism, all the Baby Yoda t-shirts and all the fucking iPhones that come out of the copper from Chilean mines, where your armies and your fucking CIA coups have extracted with the back of fucking fascist gunpoint and slave labor of indigenous and people of color and poor people, and the fucking lithium in Bolivia that they're extracting now to do green imperialism with Elizabeth Warren, who is just Elizabeth Warren is just there to fucking give a democracy theater by going up into C-SPAN and going, Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein, you knowingly defrauded your customers and you stole, $700 billion through the backdoor bailout. You with your credit default swaps, that's all democracy theater. She's backed by fucking 40 billionaires. Your entire system, okay, America has, again, there's no rule of law. There's no democracy. They don't care about you. They never have. But you were a convenient cow for the last 40 years to consume all of that blood money powered by dead Iraqi oil that has come under the feet of dead Iraqis, okay, on a giant Maersk super container and dropped off in a Chinese sweatshop, or now Bangladesh or fucking Ethiopia, where it's $26 a month, 76 cents a day. Or even better, a Bloomberg for-profit prison where it's 50 cents an hour to make $50 fucking hand sanitizer to sell to trophy wives of fucking Bloomberg's friends, okay, and Jair Bolsonaro, who they're all hanging. That's why they all got fucking COVID. So anyways, but you have been a convenient cow to in the mall of the Death Star, consuming all these t-shirts, consuming all this shit, consuming houses and cars. Why are millennials killing the cows, killing the houses and the cars and the luxury vacations to Hawaii with all their avocado toast? It's a good question. You know why that is? Because you are no longer the cow that's being milked. You are the cow that is being slaughtered. Okay, they milk you to launder the money from the planet into the first and last consumer resort, that's America. But now you're up for slaughter. Okay, now you're getting a taste, as Black Red Guard recently said. You're just getting a taste of what indigenous people, of what people around the world, people in Iraq, people of color, what Black people have always endured. You're getting a small taste of it. Okay, and I know it's gonna hurt. It feels like shit. Trust me, I fucking lived through this. I was a social worker. I see countless families die every day. I went to work. I saw dead people on the street. Wishing that they had an ounce of medical care. Okay, I saw children be abused and go to prison forever to make Jeff Bezos Whole Foods product for 25 cents a fucking hour, hundreds of them. That's why I do these things, because it's disrespectful to the souls of those fucking dead and permanently imprisoned children. Might as well be fucking dead. So what is the point of all that? So what you do not ask whenever I hear an American say, or somebody from a settler colonial descendant from a rich white country say, when are they weren't going to help us, even if we do this, even if we do that, and fucking black people yourself, what I always think is you don't ask. We didn't ask for the police and the military. Please don't fucking build your fucking 7 football field footprint obsolete telescope that was probably going to drop copper, lead, and other toxic chemicals into our water supplies. Please don't fucking rape our country and our people, and are literally in hotels. Sexual abuse is an epidemic, which is why there was a strike in the Unite Here against Marriott, which is owned by Mormons and Latter-day Saints. But anyway, please don't you don't ask. Don't ask. Are you a leftist, or are you fucking a little black pilled weakling? You're gonna follow. Don't be. Are you? That's a liberal cop out. Oh, please don't hurt me. No. Either you fucking fight. You shut down every. What we did was we fucking got 10,000 people up there, and we said, come fucking arrest us. Come fucking, you got your gun. The antis, we're at 7-year-old old ladies, disabled old ladies. And a fun fact, Hawaiians in addition to narco-socialism, we actually care for our elders. So, I mean, that's really sad that you Americans want to throw your elders into the goddamn nursing home and let them die because they don't make enough money. All your disabled people, you just throw them out. And yeah, I'm very sorry that you live in fucking America where you're all if a corporation even finds out that you're disabled, you don't even want to go. I watched that stream, and that's really sad. That's really terrible. But if you want to stop that, you need to get everybody out there. We blocked the goddamn military and police. They arrested a bunch of us, but at the end of the day, we had many more of us than they had of them. And also, we said, if you don't want to respect Hawaiian culture, we will shut down every last one of your fake plastic walls. We will shut down every one of your fucking hotels. We will slow down the fucking highway, general strike, and then blockade every last fucking port. There better not be a fucking port operating. The Port of Los Angeles. Okay, Vancouver Port. Actually, here's a fun fact for you. The Port of Vancouver is the largest, highest volume importing port in terms of the goods coming into the United States. So the north edge of America, there should be blockades, there should be highway blockades, there should be airport shutdowns. A 35-day government shutdown. There were 2 million people, 2 million Americans working, and fucking many of them died from diabetic ketoacidosis because of the lack of healthcare, because while they were simultaneously working. I remember interviews on CNN and CNBC and all over the place. They were like, oh yeah, I have to keep working even though I'm not being paid. And I just feel so bad that my boss is really mean to me. And yeah, I have to ration my insulin. My children are starving because we haven't been paid in 1 month. Like literally, they were already de facto general striking, right? Technically they were working without pay. 2 million Americans in airports were working without pay. And then somebody suggested, hey, why don't you guys all mass sick call in? That's why I said mass sick call in. It hacks the American capitalist mind prison to go, no, all you got to do is not show up for work. And what happened? I measured the amount of time from the time at which the mass sick call in happened to the time at which Donald Trump said, okay, well, what? I'm sorry. The government shutdown is over. I'm not going to build my border wall. It took 1 hour and 27 minutes approximately. 1 hour, it's an hour and a half. That's how long it took. And it was only 2 million people, and that was just airport. It was LaGuardia, and then there's a threat of JFK maybe having one. It was only basically one airport had a mass call-in, and that was enough to rewind the empire's actions. Okay, so you have the power. You have the power in all of your working class, in all of your people. You are in the imperial metropole that is where the majority of billionaires store their wealth, live. It is the richest, most powerful country on the planet. It is a center of hyper-capitalism. You will have all of the things in place. You have all the reason. You're never going to get, I don't give a fuck who the fuck you vote for. You're never going to get jack shit. They have 565 capitalist controlled puppets, and then 5 maybe squad, right? You got one Bernie. What 2/3 vote shuts everything down. You're not going to get jack fucking shit. It's like the only way you are not all going to suffer and die. You probably, a lot of you will live, and but let me tell you this: I have Americans left and right asking me, theory plebe. I call it, this is the theory spook / silver plebe, anarcho, indigenous anarcho socialist compound. Before theory, there were literally they were I don't even remember. There was 3, 4, 5 people were asking, Silver Spook, please. My father is a Republican from California. He's an ex-construction worker. He lost his house. He's got medical bills. Please, can you put him up? Oh my God, I got a United Airlines aircraft engineer friend making $100,000 a year. Oh, Silver Spook, please. My brother, he's ex-military. He was working for the airline. He lost his job. Please, can you please put him up? Because America is literally eating even the rich, even the 1%, $100,000 a year. That is the 1% earners. The 1% in America are being chewed up and swallowed by the plutocrat. There will be no Americans left. There will be only neo-feudal serfs. That's what neo-feudal is about. Please stop making my video games true and fucking do something. God, fuck. I could scream in this microphone, and tomorrow I'm gonna have to scream again. I'm gonna keep doing it though, because I'm hoping that one day. Anyway, I'm gonna cut it off because but let me finish with this. So yeah. I'm saying this because you need to and it's not obviously you're sick but you're sick, you're tired, you're dying, but at the end of the day, no one is gonna save you. You should vote. I'm gonna vote for Bernie. It's fantastic. That's 0.5% of the job. That's fantastic. But you can save yourself, and also you can really put the brakes on the global empire. You've seen what accidentally America. This is the hilarious thing. the sick call-in, that was like accidentally Americans didn't show up for work, right? COVID-19 accidentally, Americans are like accidentally on general strike. Imagine if you did it on purpose and actually made a demand. If you just, so I said, you just take 2% of a country and nobody shows up for work. And plus, and also with the blockades, I mean, things like in Chile and Ecuador, they fucking shut their entire country down. That in the Wet'suwet'en, you interrupt capitalism at a massive scale with these. I can't, in a video game, but but you need to choke out capital. You need to withhold your labor from capital. If you were to do any of these things in mass, you could have such an impact. You are the fucking superhero, not billionaire, philanthropist, playboy, arms dealer, Iron Man. That's the cultural propaganda that's programming your little brain to think, please savior, oh please CEO of a corporate company, please CEO of AAA games company, please stop exploiting me. Oh please Bernie, oh please stop framing things in terms of what the billionaires are going to do. They don't do jack shit. I work for three different billionaires. They're all little diaper babies. They can't do anything. Okay, they're all fucking clowns. You are the adult. You need to discipline your billionaires, or you do not. Do or do not. There is no try. You Americans, discipline your billionaires, and let's not burn the goddamn entire planet to the ground. Stop being a little child. The workers are the adults. The billionaires are the little babies who can't figure out how to save their financial system even with $1.5 trillion of free money. They're never gonna save you. You have to. Okay, I don't know how to say this anymore.
No, you said it well. No, you said it well.
Oh my God! I'm so glad we might have been.
That might
we need maybe
even, I haven't seen all your streams obviously, but that might be a record for length that I've seen of yours.
No way. No way.
That I've seen.
No, that wasn't a record. It was a good performance, but it certainly wasn't a record.
It was a record for what the
Silver Spook does like whole. Hey, listen, I'm telling everybody who subscribes to Silver Spook. We need to hear shit like that from time to time, and every week Silver Spook does 2 streams every week, right? On YouTube and Twitch. It's not rant the whole time because there's also music. There's also there's a lot of other stuff, but
and makeup and
energy is always the energy is always cranked up to 11.
To play off of your rant though at the end, this is why. Please don't take this as like you're the token indigenous here, but this is why it's important to listen to indigenous and marginalized people. Is there's actually some productive chat going on. I was seeing where some people were slightly put off, and everyone was saying, yeah, well, this is why you need to listen. And this is why there's a lot to be angry about, and this is why people need to talk with different indigenous oppressed and specifically with activists and leaders to learn. You miss out on a lot of this when you just stay in like your comfortable space,
your bubble.
Your bubble. You miss out on a lot of that, and you don't realize how bad it could be for you. Even every single one of us, there's someone who has it worse. So yeah, think about that. And every time you start to get worried about things that you could lose, if there's a general action, a general strike, consider all the people who've already got more to lose and are losing right now.
And also I'd like to note, remember, if you are marginalized yourself in a different way, like if you're very disabled or if you're very, if you're suffering because of, some other condition or something like that, then we're not really talking to you right now. We're talking to people who can do more. We're talking to people that do have privilege. And by the way, I just wanted to welcome Luna to the stage. Speaking of marginalized comrades, but Luna is another fighter. You want to introduce yourself for folks who might not be familiar with you?
Hi, hello, I'm Luna. My channel is Luna Ơi. I'm in YouTube, both in YouTube and Twitch. And I do all kind of stuff, actually. I cook, I draw, I make politics video, like traveling vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
Luna's got a lot of that's another good point, is the things that you're missing out on in the West is she does some great videos about like the internal politics of Vietnam and how those things work, and it's stuff that you're not going to see on Wall Street Journal or Washington Post or New York Times. You know.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You want to because like we have a breaking news and I cannot find it any website in English.
Yes.
We just made the mobile sterilization chambers. It can clean 90% of your bacteria and viruses.
These things are amazing. They look a little bit like they're a little bit bigger than remember if any of you boomers remember phone booths. We used to have these things called phone booths, but they kind of like that. You walk into it, and it sterilizes you and kills 90% of any of the bacteria on your skin
And
and your clothes
too.
and viruses. Yeah, and the virus.
That's
It kills 90% of the pathogens. And you just walk in one end and you walk out the other, and you're like 90% sterilized. They've got those installed in Hanoi now, right? Developed by a university in Vietnam?
The University of Science and Technology.
It's a big story. South Korea and the Philippines are starting to pay attention to it. Luna just did a tweet that went viral.
Like
in
Philippines
South Korea
and
Philippines.
Indonesia and South Korea too.
This is the technology that Vietnam is developing that the world doesn't know about. Vietnam also has test kits that are basically 100% accurate, and they're going to be selling them to the rest of the world for basically at cost at like $14 to $20.
17 to 26.
$17 to $26. Okay, $17 to $26 per test kit. Meanwhile, in the USA right now, I have uninsured friends who are paying over $3,000 to get tested. And so Vietnam is leading the world in many ways in responding to this disease. And more people need to pay attention to it. But unfortunately, it goes against the class interests of the corporate international media, and they're not covering it. They love to cover Vietnam when they can make up bullshit and fake news, or when Vietnam does something wrong, when Vietnam makes a mistake. But whenever Vietnam has a success or a victory, crickets, because they don't want to betray their class interests and show that a socialized system can work.
So mad. It makes me so fucking mad. Because like when we did something bad, of course, it's communism. Look at that. It's how horrible it is. And when we made something good, it is something good. It's like, oh, thanks to capitalism in Vietnam. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
whenever
you
it's
people?
good, it's capitalism. Whenever it's bad, it's communism.
It's bad. It's socialist.
Yeah.
It's always the case.
Always.
Vietnam. I mean, I just called you Vietnam. Vietnam. Would you like to?
Yeah, Vietnam representative.
Luna, would you like to tell them a little bit about what has been going on with the just for people who are just joining us, just the general situation and the response and why things are working so well in Vietnam?
So here's the thing. Since we were one of the very first country in the world who got the virus from China, and then we contained it for 3 weeks, and then there was a woman who came back from Europe, and she got the virus there, and she brought the virus into Vietnam now, and so the case from like 17 up to 48 or something, and then we are not just fighting, we are hunting all the people that had contact with all the patients, and then now over nearly 30,000 people in quarantine because of the new cases. And here's the funny thing, I think that we are doing really well because we got a lot of experience when dealing with this kind of disease crisis. We are a tropical country and we are located right next to China, and we have a lot of experience on it. And then also because of socialism too, because we are a poor country, but now all the tests and treatment fee and quarantine fee are free for everyone, for any Vietnamese citizen in Vietnam. And even we are having some whole street got blocked because of that coronavirus, and we are bringing free foods every day for thousands of people in those streets. You don't need to go to quarantine place. You are blocking at home, you are blocked at home, and we bring you free foods and all kind of necessary stuff for that.
Yeah. And that's why they haven't had the panic buying and the runs on.
Yeah, the
first day when the 17th patient, there was one patient that came back and there was panic buying for one day, and then they started giving out free food to everyone who was affected, and the panic buying stopped.
Yeah,
because when the government shows that they give a shit about working people and common people, the panic goes away. It's a very simple thing. When you have a more egalitarian society, Vietnam has its problems, okay? But when it comes to this response to the COVID-19, I think they've done a nearly flawless job of quickly, attentively, and seriously addressing the situation. They've made a few mistakes here and there, but then they've corrected and adjusted. You know, there were problems like when the first outbreak first started happening. For about 48 hours, maybe there was price gouging on the masks, but then the government stepped in and started to permanently pull business licenses. And that stopped that. That stopped happening. There are masks and hand sanitizer and all that stuff is easy to find, easy to buy. We were just at the supermarket yesterday. Calm, shelves were full. Streets are pretty quiet. I mean, everything's fine here.
And here's the thing. Here's a funny thing. I just a few days ago, somebody said like the German newspaper like said so many good things about how and why the Japanese government are shutting down all the schools and South Korean government shutting down the schools to contain the virus. It's so fucking good. But like they didn't even mention Vietnam because like we shut down the schools like nearly a month before. Nobody talk about that.
The damn kids are out playing in my street, keeping me up. I can't nap after lunch. It's pissing me off. But they're not at school. They're not giving the virus.
Like we closed the virus like weeks before those countries, but like nobody mentioned Vietnam.
And also, by the way, I'd like to point this out. The kids are all wearing masks too. Even the kids are taking it seriously. Everyone's wearing masks. Everyone's taking it seriously. Everyone's washing their hands. It's very, very cool to see.
Yeah, it's a community effort.
Exactly. It's a united. The people are united here in an amazing way. And it's such a. This is actually a sad story. I think. I'm going to tell a sad story real quick. It's going to sound kind of funny, but it honestly makes me sad. It really does. I did some tweets about Vietnam's healthcare system, and they kind of went viral. One of them got like 300,000 likes almost. And there are so few people talking about this outside of Vietnam that those tweets have become like news stories in Vietnam. So like my tweets are like in like 6 newspapers, and the TV stations all are like interviewing me. Simply and it's kind of like funny, and it's kind of but the really it makes me sad because it means that like so few people are actually paying attention and looking and learning from Vietnam about how to deal with a situation like this, that when one white American guy starts talking about it on Twitter, like it's surprising and shocking to the Vietnamese people. I mean, how are people actually talking about the situation in terms of the rest of the world? How we're viewing Vietnam. Luna's been paying attention to this from the beginning. So like, what kind of conversations are Vietnamese people having?
They are surprised and they are so happy because like finally somebody noticed. And like
I'm getting messages from like it's depressing. It's heartbreaking because I'm getting messages from like they're messaging me. Hundreds of Vietnamese people are like, "Thank you for talking about my country." Blah 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 blah. And it's like I shouldn't. My ridiculous.
The fact that a random YouTuber had to make it like available to them.
And I'm not saying this to like make myself look awesome or anything. Like everybody should be talking about this.
Yes.
Like this should be just the norm for everyone to be talking about this and learning from Vietnam. You know, and I just think it's a ridiculous situation where one random ass white YouTuber is what, and I got in trouble because I immediately after that tweet went viral, I got, this is an interesting thing too. It's the first time I ever really saw the white supremacists come together in real time and make up a bullshit response.
Yes.
Because I made this, I tweeted out all this stuff and it went kind of viral about the Vietnam response. And like, I saw it happen. Like first one white supremacist account said, it's the heat and humidity in Vietnam that's stopping the virus.
Oh, I saw that one.
And then 5 or 6 people did it. And then like 20 people were doing it. And I got brigaded by these white supremacists, which means they were off somewhere and they concocted this
maybe
story.
4chan?
They were probably on a Chan site somewhere creating a reprisal. And that means that they're more afraid of Vietnamese people looking like they're competent and like they know what they're doing than they are afraid of dying of a fucking pandemic. And it's so disgusting. But anyway, it's not the heat and the humidity, by the way. That's been completely debunked. Singapore and Thailand are almost exactly the same weather patterns as Vietnam, and they're having much worse problems with it. There are hot, humid parts of the United States that are having problems with it. And by the way, coronavirus is not nearly as affected by heat and humidity as SARS. All that information about heat and humidity was about SARS in 2003. This is a much different virus.
And so anyway, when it first kicked off in Wuhan, and even when it went down into Hanoi, it was cold. It was February.
Hanoi was super cold.
January,
we even have the ice rain, like ice falling off falling down from the sky.
Yeah, half of the country in Vietnam has been cold since coronavirus broke out. People don't understand that Vietnam is a very long country. It's as long from north to south as the United States.
Yes, it's the weather is from Sweden to Italy.
Yeah.
The same length.
Yeah.
The same distance.
So anyway, all that's to say, there's a vested interest in not paying attention to Vietnam from the capitalist class and from the white supremacists of the world, but there's a vested interest in the majority of the working people of the world to look to Vietnam as an example of what to do in this situation. And so spread the word about this stuff. Find the information. Look at the technology they're developing. These portable sterilization chamber booth things that they've got. They're really cool. I'll try to find a picture now while someone else talks.
Oh yeah.
And well, I'll say and use that as another proof. Like, you know, why I started the stream was use that proof as, you know, what we could have. Like, why don't we? Like, if you are, like if you're surprised that, oh my God, Democrats actually struck a deal and there actually is some type of relief package. If you're like amazed and super stoked at that little crumb, like think about the fact that we didn't have this already, and think about if we had something more like what Vietnam has been doing, that you know, what we could have been already. The situation could have been way more contained, like Vietnam.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it is possible, and other places are doing it.
It is possible. We are so poor, you know. Our medical system even like shitty, but we still can do it.
Shitty, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you can share the screen now, Breadbeard. Basically, here are the contamination booths, and they're pretty simple. You can see they're not like super complicated.
Really simple, yeah.
And they just sterilize people. They go in, they get sterilized. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds per person, and it serves 1,000 people per day.
And the kick-ass song will play too.
It'll play a song. It'll play the
coronavirus
song while you. Yeah. So it's fun.
Is that how you know the link?
Too. Yeah, exactly. It's like brushing your teeth to the ABC
song when washing your hands. Yeah.
These are in Hanoi right now. They're set up and they're working. But yeah, it's like the thing is that Vietnam is a developing country, and but they saw this coming, as we all did. We've all known that a pandemic is overdue for decades now.
And here's the thing: why we can have a response so fast? Because like right the moment when we heard that China got the virus, we immediately prepare for this. Immediately, even though we didn't have case at that time, and like immediately our Ministry of Healthcare, they order the doctors and scientists to have to test and to make the new test kit and this design, because like we know that we cannot just rely on the WHO, because like we cannot just rely on the outsource like that. We have to make things by ourselves.
Here in Taiwan, we're actually
that's why we got it so fast.
We're actually not a part of the WHO because of because China is.
Didn't you say that Taiwan developed something that they can't share?
They are it is. Somebody just got fined 20 million Taiwan dollars. So that's about almost $1 million US for spreading disinformation. So got to be careful. But there are news stories about that are stating there is very hopeful work. They're getting more and more confident about a vaccine. And you know, Taiwanese is a social democracy. You know, it's much less socialist than Vietnam, but they do a lot of good things here. A lot of and there is a very strong sense of like community, and they did jump right on top of this. There are 40, I think it's like 43 or something cases now, 1 death. All of them had direct contact with someone from like China or Italy, one of these affected countries. So it's not like spreading around easily here. They put a lot of work into it, and that's without the WHO, and it's kind of ridiculous that now they can't give it to the WHO, or they don't have the direct. I don't know. I'm hoping there's some way they can give it to them if they do develop a vaccine. That would be ridiculous if we have
it would be a great like textbook case of how childish humanity is.
Yeah.
We got a message from Vic Uturbe said. And this is very important to me, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Fox News are saying that Trump's response to the crisis has been much better than other countries. How do we talk to people who believe this shit? You mentioned your mom. That's why that's why it's important to me. How can we make them see the truth? I find it impossible. Here's the thing. Yes, my mom. I just got off the phone with her, and I love my mom, and she's a really good person. She's very sweet. She's very compassionate, and she's very worried about her family members right now, because I have family members who have the symptoms. If not, we don't know if they have the virus because they haven't gotten tested. But she believes, and I guess she gets this information from Fox News. She believes that the National Guard is giving free food out to people, and she believes that anybody can go get tested right now through a drive-through test, anyone in the country, and she believes that they're giving free healthcare to anybody who has the virus, and that's not true. It's not
Really?
true. It's not true.
I hope it was true.
It's not. I knew it wasn't true when she said it, but I just did a bunch of research. I've been asking the chat if anybody knows if any of this is true, and it's not. So there is false news being spread by Fox News and these capitalist outlets, and it's very dangerous. It's gonna make people feel more secure than they should be feeling right now.
Yeah, it's gonna kill people. It will kill people at this rate.
Yeah. And they're not doing as much as they're saying that they're doing on Fox News. It's really scary. Now, here's the thing. I don't know how to get people to. If I could do it, I would definitely get my mom to stop believing that stuff. And she just pushes. She just dismisses everything I say. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get her to pay attention. If anybody has any ideas, let me know. I'm worried because I'm afraid it's going to come down to. Eventually, you're not going to be able to lie about what's happening right outside of someone's window. Fox News can say. Like, look, and I was talking about Italy. In Italy right now, there are people who have to spend 48 hours with dead bodies of their loved ones because they can't get the relief or longer, days with dead bodies of loved ones. If it comes down to that, people will know that Fox News has been lying. I don't want it to come down to that. I don't want it to come down to the fact where you have to see the dead bodies in your own home before you stop believing Fox News. I don't know how we get the truth to people, but we have to work on that. It's very vital because there are a lot of people and older people like my parents who are just believing everything that Fox News is saying.
Like they don't.
Yeah, they're saying that the USA is having the best disaster response in the world, and it's bullshit. it's laughably absurd. I mean, I don't know how. I don't know, and that's my whole job. I feel like it's my whole profession to try to debunk this kind of fake news, and even I don't know how to do it with my own mother. So I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss. If anybody else, Spook, you got some ideas?
Yeah. I don't have like a Republican Fox News watching parents, but I mean, my dad is like hard, like liberal, like just vote blue every time, like for the last 8 elections, like forever, basically. Like, he's like boomer hippie kind of dude, like, fell out of a tree in Jimi Hendrix concert in the 70s or something, like that kind of like, we'll just vote for Democrats. It'll be fine. But I know like, and it's so frustrating. It's differently frustrating. I mean, I'm sure it's worse if you like Fox News, like rah, rah America. And I know those people as well. Like it's really hard. Like I remember, like I was talking to, like I said, that guy that I often refer to, like when I use examples of the United Airlines aircraft engineer, right, who lived in a van making $103,000 a year, and he's like I think he's like libertarian. Like, I mean, he's kind of, I think EJ, he's like you minus 10 years, maybe something like that. Like libertarian.
right.
He's like from a military family.
Yeah.
Like
that
white,
sure.
He's like, like rah, America's great. I'm gonna own an airline business myself. And like, I tried to talk about like, maybe you're living in a van in a Walmart parking lot, eating like ramen and working out, like listening to Jordan Peterson, like working out in a gym, like barely able to afford the gym, living like 200 miles from your wife. Like, dude, like this isn't working out for you. I mean, even you're making a lot of money, but don't you see how capitalism is totally effing you up? Like maybe you want to like unionize. It's really hard. I will say this though. When you like, this may not help a lot of people, but I will say this. I've been trying to break through to my dad, who said, Chris, you just got to get a job. Why are you living in my house? You're a millennial. You should have bought a house by now. I should be living in your house. That's what he told me when I moved back when I was poor. I was like, Dad, I'm working full time. I'm like teaching full time. Like, Chris, I don't understand. Like, look at all these other kids. Every time I turn on, the Hallmark, or I turn on a TV show on Netflix, all these kids, they own the 2 apartments in New York City. I don't know why you're still living in daddy's house, right? But they're like the liberals are brainwashed, the conservative brainwashed. Every movie is a brainwashing. They don't show what it's actually like to be a millennial now. They show all the millennials as like the biggest problem is, will they marry the doctor from Alaska or like the rich businessman Elon Musk analog from San Francisco? Not like, how am I gonna get tonight's ramen? Like they don't show that. So it's really hard to deal with those especially older people, because they live in a disinformation system. Capitalism, as I say, is a disinformation system.
Their whole life.
Their whole life is
their whole life.
Yeah, every aspect of your life. Like I say, you wake up, you live, you love, you watch TV, your favorite movies, everyone around you, you live and you breathe the water. And you're a fish. You like you drink, you breathe, you inhabit, you live in capitalist disinformation, like permanent state of disinformation. Like only recently have millennials and Gen Z be kind of break out of that because they're so broke they can't afford to get, and also they have the peer-to-peer communication. Like I didn't know anything about Vietnam until I watched your channel, for example. So anyway, so how does this help you, right? I mean, like I will say this: like, if you have the ability to provide, like my parents now, they're in a bad situation. Like I said, they lost electricity for 8 days straight. My dad's older brother, he's like 80 years old. He's on dialysis. Like, they're in a dire position. They might be losing their place. There are homeless people in like tent cities surrounding the area that they live in. All the apartments are like being jam packed full of like, relatives of people. People are like losing. If you get into one fight with your family, this is the other thing. The housing shortage, or people are living all jam packed together. Like, I almost destroyed my relationship with my own father because I was so close to him, having to listen to CNN because we were living in a 7x9 foot box, like basically a tiny little studio carved out of a utility room in my parents' house with me, Holly, and our kids, and like. I wanted to kill my dad. I was like, God damn it, because we were fighting over this is an election, and we were so close. It like we used to be fine when we were like living in separate places, like seeing each other for 1 week, but then it almost destroyed our relationship. And when I try to tell him these things, like, Dad, like, no, I mean, like, really, I'm trying to buy. I would love to buy a house. I would love to like be able to pay for my family, with a one wage earner, like some kind of 50s American dream thing. But I mean, that doesn't happen. Like, I'm making my wage is literally 90% of my wage would go to the cheapest like 2-bedroom apartment to rent on this island, and like anywhere within like 1,000. Like I said, the aircraft engineers have to fly 200 miles to house their families, and they're making $100,000. And he's like, he can't hear it. He just can't hear it. Like, Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's this one kid. I mean, dad. That guy's dad is the freaking like CEO of Alexander and Baldwin. He fell right into that job, and I mean. Like that, I mean, that's no excuse. You should have been born onto a executive of a major real estate investor or a mega bank. And I said, well, that's kind of your fault, Dad. You should have been. Anyway, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work. But what does work is now they're going, Chris, Mom and I are really worried that our Medicare. We're worried about the corona. We might have it. We read the statistics, and not just that, but even before that, like my brother is sick. We might lose our place. We can't afford to rent because actually, like we have a relative who's high up in the Catholic Church, and they get reduced. They're in the neo-feudal Holy Roman Empire rent discount. They get like 1/3 of the actual rent, and they said we might be losing our place, and we can't afford to live anywhere, on this island. And I said, well, Dad, maybe listen to what I'm talking about, socialism, right? Maybe,
Yeah.
Guess what? We have a place. We're housing another American here. We're housing theory. We have access. And I don't want to move there. That's like a bunch of farm town nonsense. You guys are all living in the Wild West. This is what they think about it. You don't want to live out on the farm. You want to be in the big American city with your big American city lights, making money in the in the New York Minute or some bullshit. That's another part of the propaganda. Don't move to a U.S. city. That's where you go to die. It's a kind of concentration camp of the lost dreams of the dead. A rotten corpse of what was the American dream. Don't move to a U.S. city. It's a horrific idea. Bloomberg will eat you for breakfast, 99% of your labor value, till you die of a fucking, fentanyl-induced, opium overdose on the side of the street. Don't do it. Do not do it. So, and I said, Dad, do you wanna like come to an actual socialist area? I mean, yeah, you might not be right next to 7 Starbucks. Why do you need 7 Starbucks right across the street from each other in the goddamn city? You don't. Well, we're gonna be far away from like the salon that your mom loves. I mean, there's salons here too. Like there's salons in Vietnam. It's not like they're like, it's like living in, how they say, you're living in the middle of like a little thatched hut in Vietnam, and like the same thing. That's what I think here. Oh, you guys are like in the middle of the boonies. No, like we actually have high speed internet. I'm streaming on it right now. What are you? You don't even have power. You're in the city. This is how horrific it is. They're in the city. They lost power for over a week. Literally, the water. They couldn't cook. They had no lights. They had no nothing, no TV, no nothing. And only now it's starting to sink in. Oh my God. Maybe capitalism is maybe Chris, that crazy socialist on the big, in his Hawaiian commune. Maybe they had something. So anyway, the long story short is that like, if you can like provide. If you can help people and like show like materially, like again, like they say, like the Marxist-Leninist Maoist tenet. I mean, if you from that school, right? If you can provide for the material condition, that's how you really win people over. Is you start providing for what they actually need. Now it's hard when boomers have like 10 Airbnbs and they don't need anything material because they're too big, But the number of boomers who have, and like I said, all of our parents, right? I mean, whatever they were, they are falling through the cracks. And you got to find that point where it's like, hey, like, are you really sick? mom, dad, uncle, like, guess what? Like, there's this other system. Like, here we have like sliding scale clinics, so that when we like, my son broke his arm, and I was like terrified. I was like, oh my god, I want to deal with the American healthcare system. Oh my god, if he has to stay in the hospital, it could be like $10,000. We're gonna lose everything. We're gonna be in medical debt. We'll be like neo-feudal serfs, right? And I was like, but thank God, like, we have like actually existing, like, the much of the government, much of the people. Again, it's Hawaiians control the majority of the economics here. They build the roads. It's a kind of communism. It's a communism. It's government by first birthday parties and a collection of aunties. Kind of like how Luna talks about that. Kind of like how like the women kind of like collectively in a not. Sometimes it can be controlling, but it's very much like when it's that kind of energy of like, how are we going to provide public schools, public parks? We have public baseball fields. They just built like 3 soccer fields, 4 basketball courts. It's like the quality of a free pool. There's a free zoo. The zoo is $50 on where I'm from, and it's falling apart. Everything is falling apart. The level of public facilities here, every bathroom, they're sanitizing the bathrooms twice a day now because of the epidemic. There is no working bathroom in the area where I'm from. Like, in the public facilities, the playgrounds are all falling apart. So like, and so just the level. I mean, in terms of like each taking from their ability to provide to people according to their need, like, that's actually done, not perfectly, obviously. They still have Walmart here, but it's kind of like the same kind of story where, there's Walmarts, but it's still operated and run. Like, like the people are not sad and bummed out that they're working at Walmart, because you can actually buy houses. If you work full-time at Walmart, you can actually buy a house around here. I mean, fun fact. Just a fun fact for you. Because why? Because we keep the Ponzi scheme, capitalist, house flipping nonsense out. How? By having the zoning, the codes, the government, the people who build, the people who like the people, the permitting, the Department of Finance, the Department of Real Estate. All of that is like kind of is inundated with indigenous Native Hawaiian values, right? That don't believe in this concept of accumulation of private property. That's nonsensical to us. When we like, if we have extra house, we have a friend that needs it. Theory plebe, come stay there. And not just, I mean, like, hey, you need a house. Like, they're building 4 houses on the street right now, and each of them are going to go up for sale for like $140,000, like right next to a city. Not like in America, you can get a cheap place, but you got to go way the hell out there, like way away from the infrastructure. So, and if we have extra food, we give away food. You don't hoard things. You gain respect by giving away everything that you have. So, like, long story short, so if you can show people, like, and that's a really good, I think, like. I think Luna's videos like do a lot to do that. If you can kind of show people, and especially if they're in need, and you say, "Hey, I can help you with this. I can help you with the food. I can help you if you move here, or if we build this. Like, here's an example. Let's build a dual power. Like, let's build a real dual power structure. Let's actually build a commune. Let's build something where we can actually provide housing. Let's do a tenant union. Like Black Red Guard works on tenant unions in Missouri. That's what they really need. Like, we need to like be able to pay the rent. We need to have healthy food, right? If you can provide those, whatever it is, food, housing, rent. To people who are, especially now as they're falling through the cracks, you can start. I mean, my dad, like last time I talked to him, he said, "Oh, Chris, I think maybe we're starting to turn socialist. I see that you guys actually have a place, and like, I think I'm kind of giving up. I'm giving up on this. He didn't really say like liberal nonsense, but he basically said, I'm kind of giving up on this place and this capitalist. He's starting to talk.
Wow.
He's changing his tune.
That's
like
amazing.
at the age of 70 years of the capitalist mind prison. So. Anyway, I've been talking for a long time, so
well,
that's amazing. That's really inspiring.
Yeah, that is awesome, and I think that's a good tell by showing. I think that's a great way to do it is to show them like proof in the pudding, and I think now is more than any time in my lifetime that I can think about. Is a great time and a great opportunity to do that, because things are getting so shitty, even for the people who are diehard, Republicans or diehard Americans, things like that. You can find this common ground. Now, just like I said with my mom, I never thought she would ever say anything bad about a Republican president, especially Donald Trump. She loves him, and that's a chip away at the ice block,
Can we get your parents to hang out with my parents and like, I don't know, virtually like cyber? I don't know. I'm so upset because like my mom is still completely convinced that Trump is doing everything in his power and they're giving out free. It's like so weird and scary. But it's true that like I think that this would be something that would definitely perhaps sway my mother is what Silver Spook's talking about. And Silver Spook is talking about building dual power structures. Everything that that Silver Spook just mentioned, as far as creating food programs and safety nets within your community, where it's like neighbor to neighbor giving and support, that's dual power. Okay, it's building dual power. That's an anarchist form of revolution, and apparently also an indigenous form of revolution that's been going back for centuries, probably before anarchism ever even existed. But I know that the Vietnamese have been socialistic for over 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a little ideological theory buzzword, dual power structure, that's what we need to do, is go out there and build those things. And then if my mom or your mom or anybody who needs food in a crisis like this gets it not from the state, not from Donald Trump, not from the National Guard, but from our neighbors, that's the kind of thing that will have a massive impact and show that we don't need the state, we don't need capitalism to survive. We can support each other.
And if anyone's in the chat or watching is going to like Google what is dual power structure and all that, here's an easy way to say it. Fuck you, we're doing it ourselves. That's what dual power structure is and even people who do know it, I think, at least for me, a lot of time I've thought this way before, and I bet there's a lot of people that have it. Like, it sounds like some giant coalition that has to be built to circumvent the government. Just a community garden. Something as small as a neighborhood.
Food Not Bombs is probably the best example of Food Not Bombs. They go out into parks and they give food away to homeless people, and that's all that they do. That's a dual power structure. And you know what? They do it radically. They get arrested for it sometimes. There are Food Not Bombs activists who have been, and it happens now.
And destroy
they'll come and they'll destroy the food, throw it in the trash, and arrest people.
I saw a video. They poured bleach all over a bunch of food they were given to.
Yeah. When the Black Panthers were giving out free lunches back in the 60s, the cops came and pissed in the fucking free lunches that they were giving little black children.
It was breakfast. It doesn't matter, but it was specifically breakfast for schools, for inner city children's schools. Like, it wasn't even. It really shouldn't be any different. But the fact is, like, how can you not?
Well, listen. Like, as disgusting and evil as that is, it shows that they fear it. The power structures fear it.
Yes.
They're terrified of us building our own dual power structures. Yeah.
They're not gonna. That's how you know when you're making a difference, is when they send their cops, or they send their power structure, or they send their sanctions out or something. So when the capitalists act on what you're doing, that's how you know that you are doing something that's having a material impact. Like, that's how we know we're doing something having an impact. When they send 1,000 cops and freaking bombers, that's how you know we're messing with you're actually hitting the correct target, and in whatever way that you can. And I mean, just to say, it kind of just to kind of dovetail, with in terms of, like, I have a friend in I believe it's Idaho, who the water, like, across many parts of America is horrific. It's coming out. It's got fracking it. It's got the infrastructure. It's coming apart. Not just Flint. Yeah, Pennsylvania, Liability Lefty, and a bunch of other folks. Actually, many leftists I know are in there. It's horrific. Anyway, but in Idaho, they were like, the water was. They're charging. I'm not gonna go into all the details just to kind of cut this short, but they're basically being charged high levels, like 3 times what they should be charged, like $350 for their water bills. If you get 2 months of that, it's $700, like a $700 water bill, and then the bank, in collaboration with Wall Street, puts a lien on your house. You lose your house, not just for your medical bill, but for your water bill that's making you sick. Anyway, so to kind of get around that, they said, you know what, we're gonna build our own catchment system. That's what we have here. Like, we actually have 8,000 gallons. We have enough water to last for 6 months, and it's does not rely on the municipal system. This is how most of this side of the island is. We have enough food. This entire even the government here, which is controlled by Native Hawaiian, which has indigenous socialism built into it. They zone this entire thing as in a residential / agricultural. So we have avocado trees growing all over the place. We got mango trees. We got there's food everywhere, and there's water. So we already have that kind of that inbuilt dual power is kind of built in. And anyway, so I was talking to my friend. He said, but in Idaho, they were trying to build a catchment system, and the police actually were sent out, and they said, you cannot build that cistern. And he said, why? It's just the catching water. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we're gonna keep it uncontaminated. There's no pollutants. What right? And they said, well, it's not up to code. Something, it could be hazardous. What if a stray piece of smog? I don't know. What if a piece of nuclear radiation flies out of a plant and it falls? I don't know. It's just some bogus. It's all throwing the book at you. Law is a weapon that they use. It's not. There's no the rule of law is a part of the disinformation. They only weaponize that on the benefit of the capital. So they said you can't build that. You cannot have independent water sourcing that is outside of the state. But it's well, the water coming out is disgusting. It's black. It's brown. my child like got blisters and rashes when I just bathed in it. Like, we can't drink it. We can't use that water. And they said, well, that's not our problem. You're going to have to take that down, or you're going to go to prison. And basically, like, you know, or you're going to be fined. We're going to be in trouble. But eventually, you know, I don't know how they're dealing with that, but they're trying to build enough of that, you know, and, you know, the state kind of will react if, but at the same time, if enough people are doing that, if you have enough people, if you have enough people power, you have enough actions. And at the end of the day, you know, if people say, well, I'm not going to, if everybody refused to pay all of their water bills at once, I mean, there's a lot of things collectively, individually, if you try to resist, it's going to be tough. But at the same time, and also, but they said like they came, but then eventually they're like running out of like, they didn't have enough like of the staffing to keep on sending people out to, you know, to kind of try to take down all of these, you know, they don't have enough the courts are all tied up with the current things that they're doing. So I think they're still working on that. And he was also working on community internet. So like ad hoc meshnet, individual power plants. Like, we have a lot of generators and solar and various types of electricity here. And so anyway, so long story short, it's kind of like any of those things that you can do to build those, because as the shit starts hitting more fans in the United States, and it's already, and it's going to, public infrastructure is just going down the tubes. You're going to need that. So that's the next thing. Kind of let's get ready for increasing or decreasing amounts of public infrastructure in terms of water, transportation. Just the highways are horrific between like Wisconsin, like many states, they're falling apart, even where I'm from. So just those kind of basic things. So if you can build any of those things, water, here's a fun fact. If you can catch water and you have like a charcoal filter or reverse osmosis, like, you can get purified water. And like, another thing, they're not going to tell you. Like I said, capitalism is disinformation system. They don't want you to know when your water has, you know, chromium-6 or, you know, inordinate parts per million, copper, lead, radon, which is a radioactive isotope that can sometimes comes through fracking runoff that has no scent, has no taste, has no smell. Don't wait. I mean, don't, you know, like, they're not going to tell you that you're going to get cancer and then you're going to charge $200,000 to cure it. Then they're going to take your house. So you want to, I mean, these are just reasons to kind of preemptively build that material, water, again, like all the basic stuff, water, food, education, all that stuff. And these are different things you could sell to people. Just like, hey, have you thought about, have you tasted this water? It smells like burning plastic. Anyway. So yeah.
I would say also you could get these little they're called Life Straws, or Sawyer filters is another brand, but they're little tiny water filters, and I recommend everybody has at least one or two of those somewhere, that because they'll filter like 10,000 gallons of water before they run out, and they remove everything except for some viruses, but that's really only a problem in like Africa and some other places. But also another thing, just piggybacking on what Spook was saying about you know, like not following laws collectively, that's something that Vietnamese are very good at. The Vietnamese are so good at, if the state passes a law here and it's unpopular, nobody will follow it, and it's just like they're just like, fuck this law, and the law disappears after a few weeks. It's happened so many times. Or they'll have like protests. I think my favorite example is I actually use the Sawyer filter. I've never tried the Life Straw, but they're the same thing. But anyway, there was one time when I lived in Saigon, and the government made this ridiculous law that you couldn't put mannequins out in front of your like little shop, you know, because there's a lot of these little clothes shops in Vietnam.
Naked mannequin.
Luna's mom has one where it's just like a one little family or one individual tailor or person or whatever who sells clothes on the street, and it's just like it's like a mutualist sort of thing. And there's like there's dozens of them. That's what most clothes shops are like in Vietnam. And they made a law where you can't put a mannequin on the street that's wearing lingerie or underwear. And so they made that law. And so all the little shops in Vietnam just put their mannequins out completely naked with like mannequin boobs just out.
That's awesome.
And after 1 week, they got rid of that law. But that's like a silly, funny one. But like there's what's another example of a law? I mean, it happens like every couple of months.
Yeah.
The government will put out some big law, and then people just don't follow it, and then after a week or two, the government's just like, okay, that was a bad idea.
I remember.
They did it with signs. They did it with signs where like people who have little what was that one?
They made the street, 1 or 2 streets in Hanoi. They said like there must be a law about the signs of the store.
They had to have the exact same font,
same design,
and the same color.
font.
And you have to remember, in Vietnam, there are huge capitalist corporations for sure, but like most of the restaurants and clothes shops and stuff like that, they're owned by like one family. That's really the model. And so they were like, if you have a little business or whatever, you have to have the same sign. And nobody followed it. And the cops went around and they tried to enforce it, but it's just like nobody was following it. And after a week or two, they were just like, all right, forget about it. And stuff like that. I mean, I can't even, there's countless examples of that. But it's
and
like
you can
the
do
reason that,
you go ahead and finish your thought first.
I was just gonna say, like, if one shop did it or if one person did it, of course they would have gotten fined or whatever. They would have gotten punished. But when everybody participates, or when you have enough, it's like kind of like herd immunity, which I know is not the best example right now, since the UK literally wants to murder people with herd immunity. But what I'm saying is, if enough people participate together, they can't throw everyone in prison. They can't fine every single person. And that's enough of us have to get on board to do it. So, yeah, I think it's effective.
Yeah, and you can do that small scale too. Like in your workplace, you can do things where like you just say, well, fuck it, we're not going to do that, because what are they going to do if no one does it? There's a great I'll put it in the YouTube chat, you can put it in Twitch if you want. There's a great little it's called Organizer's Toolkit, which is just like a pamphlet. It's printable, you can spread them out, do some magic prop about just easy organizing 101, organizing and sit outs, things like that for dummies kind of thing. And it gives you examples of like these oh god, no, I'm probably not gonna be able to find it right this second. Get people involved, but there are examples of like the boss wouldn't take away this piece of machinery in a printing shop and it was impeding them, so they just all got together and threw it the fuck out. And he was like, what the fuck, the thing was still worth money. And they're like, sorry, fire us all.
You can't fire all of us.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, you can do things small scale. You can do them big. You don't, if you can't get you don't have the power personally as one person to like get your whole like city to do something, but you on your block, if something's going on, in numbers you have so much power. And it doesn't even have to be a big numbers, it just has to be a percentage of whatever the structure you're working in. So like if it's in your workplace, there's 8 people that work there. If all 8 of you, eight's not a big number, but that's all of the workforce for that place, So you don't have to be. I think a lot of people get in this idea that it's some far off, grandiose thing that we have to wait for. And when that finally a whole goddamn country, the whole goddamn world unites at one time, then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to be with them. Just that's not how it will happen. Do it yourselves, small scale, and whatever you can. And then if everyone's doing it, that is what happens when the world unites. Is a collection of all those small numbers.
Yeah, this is an amazing guide. I had never seen this before, so thanks for sharing that. I'm just
this is really good, and it's printable. It's a little long for like pamphlet. But yeah, you can
it's
print it out.
It's a straight up guide. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's great.
It's very comprehensive.
Share it with your coworkers.
Yeah.
So
you can buy those little USB sticks nowadays for so cheap. You can get them online. The ones that are like, I think they're like 512 megabytes or something. They literally sell them for like $1. I've seen them at the dollar store before.
Or less.
Little USB
people
sticks.
Use them as
you could just put this on
sometimes.
there. I mean, I guess people probably wouldn't, but you never know. You could maybe like, I don't know, leave those around and maybe people will see them. I don't know, or just put them on all the computers in your office. Just sabotage.
That's a great idea.
Sabotage. As you are able. Don't risk your don't risk getting caught. But if you
I would say do anything you can not to use like your work email and send it to coworkers' work emails if you have any other option besides that.
Oh, it's really easy to spoof an email address. Just go to a you don't even really, if you know what you're doing, you can do it on a private computer, but I would recommend you go to a public computer and just set up a Gmail, like a burner account.
Yeah. And
just write down all of the email addresses and just boom. I used to do that all the time. I used to do that all the time to sabotage my workplaces, and that was before I was even a leftist.
Yeah. And you can use that, by the way, with non-leftists. That's what this is for, is to make class consciousness. You can do that. Sorry. With you can use those common grounds if your coworkers are liberals, if they're fucking like Republicans, there's still common grounds of fuck the boss.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that can get behind that. You don't have to go into a matter of fact, this thing, I'm sure this organizing guide probably doesn't say the word socialist or communism anywhere in it. It's just about workers and solidarity. You know.
I think it's powerful, important stuff.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Look at the screen right now. The share screen.
It's screenception.
I have one question. Is that really like in like goes forever?
Well,
infinitive?
Not on my monitor because there's a point where it's just 1 pixel, I'm sure. But in theory, yes, it goes forever. Like mathematically, it's infinite. It's a mathematically infinite screenception. But unfortunately,
Luna cracking the important things here. Actually, I need to go. I've got
our time is not infinite. Luna and I are going to go eat in a second here. But I did want to just say, I wanted to end on this, and this is the last thing I'll say. But anyone else can change it or whatever, but change the subject or whatever. But last thing I want to say is, I think the time is right. The time is ripe. Is it ripe or right? It doesn't matter. The time is now.
Both are right.
For us to start planning a general strike. I would say something like April 1st to May Day, somewhere in that time range, we can have a general strike launched and come together, decide what our demands are, and make it happen. I want to see, if you're a part of an organization, if you're a Bernie supporter and you're part of the Bernie support organization structure, if you're in the IWW or the DSA or any of these organizations, if you're on a leftist Discord server, start the conversation. We need your help. I can't do it alone. Breadbeard and Silver Spook seem to be at least supportive of the idea, but we can't do it alone. No. We need all of you to go out there and start conversations with the people in your organizations, because we're going to have to lean on the organization structures that already exist and start building those organization structures out. But I think that's the next step for our movement, and I think it's time. We can do it. It might not be the biggest, most badass general strike in history, but we could get started. We could make the plans and start building the support structures. I don't know. I think it can be an amazing thing. So that's the last thing that I really wanted to say and end on.
That's how I can get started. And don't keep it just online. Spread it out. Get it. Talk with everyone.
Do it online in the sense that we shouldn't be like having big mass meetings right now in real life.
No.
Right?
I mean, don't just keep it online. As in, go talk with your organizations and your coworkers. About getting moving. And if you're not in one,
you could do the talking. You could do the talking online if you are worried about the disease, especially if you're.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I guess
expose yourself.
Keep it just on social media is, I guess, a better way to say
it. Right. Don't just tweet about it and then forget about it. You have to actually. What Breadbeard's saying is organize for real, like really make plans,
get in contact
and really
with,
push this
with
through.
Your union, with any organizations you're involved with. If you're not, get involved with them. With a union, if you don't have a union, you can't find it in your area. IWW, like I said, I just got on board with that. And outside of that, if you're already in a union or that, get in contact. There's always some type of community organization going on. Food Not Bombs, children's shelters. Not it'd have to be like a shelter, but like a community outreach programs, things like that. The more people you get. I was going to say the more people you get in contact, that sounds kind of bad.
Get in non-physical contact with.
Yeah, non-physical contact. Yeah. The more people you reach out to, the stronger it will be.
Seeing you struggling with English is very funny to me.
It should make you feel better because I don't know what I'm doing half the time. And
we're doing the best that we can. We've just been talking for 3 hours. We're tired.
Speaking of which, I've got a very pestering dog right now that desperately wants to go outside. So,
final thoughts from Luna and Silver Spook.
Silver Spook, you say first.
Me first. Okay. Again, stop buying toilet paper. What the fuck?
Get a bum gun. Nobody in Vietnam gives a shit about toilet paper because we have a bum gun. We just shoot water.
Shit about the toilet paper.
It's awesome.
I'm trying to keep it short, but it's like I taught hurricane, as part of my STEM class for the inner city kids. I taught years of hurricane preparedness and tsunami disaster preparedness, canned food, 7 gallon per day for 7 days per person of water, lights, batteries. You're not gonna die because your poop's stored up in you. What the fuck? That's the last thing you need. You can use water like a billion people who use bidets. You don't need freaking toilet paper. That's you're gonna be you're gonna be surrounded by like your entire bedroom and your closet and the living room full of toilet paper, and you're just gonna be like, what am I gonna eat? Oh shit! Like, you know what? Like, just stop. Anyway, okay, that's a joke. For real though, really. There's a bidet. Anyway, for real though, like, anyway, that's capitalist disinformation. That's what it is right there. Anyways, would you? Yeah, definitely join the. Organize as best as you can, like whatever we can get going. Yeah, sooner rather than later. Like, we need more. There are a lot of strike actions happening. We need to like snowball that. There's an ongoing, like, you ever heard of it? There's a cost of living allowance. University of California I think it's still ongoing. Wildcat strike across California. We need to. I'm always going to be pro organizing and getting as many of these actions against capital and against the ruling class as we possibly can. So, push for that simultaneously. Like I said, kind of like also think about simultaneously. You need to like kind of fight capitalism and then build post-capitalism. If it's the one way to think about it. So think about ways that you can. If you think, oh my gosh, man, I hate this city. I hate this job where I'm at. I'm in San Francisco. I'm in LA. I'm in Seattle. I'm in New York. I'm in, wherever you are. I'm in Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't know. You're just like, God, I've been waiting for a reason to really like, because it took a long time for us to kind of make the leap and go, God, we got to leave Honolulu. This is like, we're dying here. We're living in a van. Think about like, that's another thing. You can change your organization, right, internally with like strikes, with actions, malicious compliance, all the lists of things that Software Social Club just suggested. Or you can also change your organization, like leave your organization and build something else, build the next phase of where we're going. I mean, I think of it as partially automated indigenous anarcho-socialism, but I mean, we're all going to have to figure out what post-capitalism means to us. So, and let's take this opportunity, because cities where lots of people are congealing together in these big time cities, that's where everybody's like, well, we can't be all we can't be all like shoulder to shoulder, rubbing each other. I mean, touching and so in close proximity, that's not good for pandemics. And also it's just not good. Like living there is just not good. So consider that, and consider like how you can convince people, especially with older people, what you can do to help them. And then also bring them over to the side of the, well, you have to tell them it's the left, but just tell them like, hey, let's help each other out, and then slowly work on massaging those ideas, dropping little hints. Anyways, so that's my take. That's it.
Brilliant. I think just the general idea of saying sticking it to the man without having to go
stick it to the man.
That works. That works.
Socialism or leftism.
And speaking of the man and sticking it and where you stick things, Vic did just say in a comment that if you don't have toilet paper, you can just use your neighbor's Blue Lives Matter flag. So that's always
yes.
Luna, final words?
Okay, about me, I just remember like about 100 years ago, right? People believe that in the future, when the technology is already developed, the people's life will be way better. We're gonna work less and then pay more, right? But look at this, the actual like reality now. Why do we still have to work so hard when the technology is already developed, and you even have to work like 2 or 3 jobs to earn enough just for living? Because of capitalism, we're supposed to work less.
Scarcity is manufactured for profit by capitalism.
Absolutely. So
that's well. Thank you.
Turns out we've got enough. Yeah. Well.
Oh.
I was gonna say, yeah. It turns out. No, I was just saying. It turns out we've got enough stuff for the whole goddamn world to be happy if we just we're allowed to have it.
We have to just work together.
Some people
seize it back.
Keeping them all.
They stole it from us. Let's take it back. Thank you, Silver Spook, for joining us. Thank you for Luna for joining us. And thank me for joining Breadbeard. And thank Breadbeard for inviting me to join Breadbeard.
Yes, thank all of you for coming on. Yeah. So yeah, this last word is just don't go. If you're sick, go lay down, go rest. But once you start to feel better and you can start to enact it, or if you can get yourself to a computer and you feel comfortable, start moving on this right now. Don't wait for someone else to do it. That's the whole point of collective action, is we don't need anyone else. We need each other, but we don't need someone to do the work for us. We need to do it. And that's how we'll get through this.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks all of you for coming on. And you have any last word?
No, I'm just trying to figure out who I can raid. But basically, the stream's over. If anybody in the chat has any ideas for people I can raid, yeah, buy Breadbeard, buy Silver.
Tell you what,
thank you very much.
because I'm just on YouTube, so I'm gonna close out. Thanks everyone for coming in the chat.
Too.
All right, bye guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye,
I'm just trying to find somebody to raid.